before this event, but secondly, you'll need to know it has rained here, so there are one or two damp spots on the circuit, and the grass on either side of the racetrack is soaked. So if you go off there, it's going to take a bit to get back on.
It's actually not soaked. I just walked up to Marion's for a bit of lunch. You were stuck here, of course, and the grass is surprisingly dry, actually. So just on a couple of areas track, down at turn 1, certainly it's pretty slippery over there, and off the final corner as well, coming down the hill, it's wetter there. But the rest of the track, it's amazingly dry because it's pretty hot here, and the track dried out, as we saw from that rain that happened during the WeatherTech, the IMSA WeatherTech SportsCar Championship Series qualifying session. It dried out very, very quickly indeed.
The lights are out on the Nismo GTR pace car as it is now. If we see it again, it will become the safety car. Got a good record here for going green for long parts of the race. 2 hours will be 2 pit stops.
You jinxed that, haven't you?
I'm saying it early. Hashtag blame Hindhoff.
Good.
2 hours on the clock. That's 2 pit stops for the GS cars. Just about 1 maybe for the TCRs and the ST cars. And it's going to be tight, but they might do it just depending on the pace and what happens out there.
Yeah, and if it is wet, watch out for those TCR cars, because they're front-wheel drive. They're going to be really fast around here. And
they've all got ABS in this championship, which they don't necessarily have in the other championships, the TCR cars. So they are very, very aerodynamically efficient. They get a lot of downforce. So as long as they can keep a bit of speed up, they'll be quick through the corners. And front-wheel drive in the wet is heaps of fun. Absolutely heaps of fun. Here's how they line up in TCR. It's Audi, Volkswagen, Volkswagen. Second, Volkswagen for that team this weekend, and the 31 and 32 cars are together. They'll be behind the 21 ST cars. And let's not forget as well that we have a BMW on pole for ST in their final outing in the Continental Tyre Sports Car Challenge here at VIR, and that was Nick Galante who put that 81 car on pole position. The white Nissan GTR should be pulling in to the pit lane this time around. Paul Holton and Tyler McQuarrie in the McLaren and the Audi have Spencer Pumpelly and Ty Majeski in the Porsche and the Ford behind them. Then the championship leader. This is packed right up, Jeremy. Little bit of a gap back to the TCRs. I think that's smart from the guys in the TCR category.
Indeed, and watch that Mustang on the outside of the second row get a good jump at the start.
Green flag is in the air, and the Biscuitville Grand Prix here at VIR is up and running. And immediately everyone fans out over a now dry-ish start-finish line, and down towards the first corner, which is the right-hander. McQuarrie comes round the outside, as I suggested he might do. He'll be looking for grip out there, might be still a little bit damp. Watch for them as they go towards turns 2 and 3, still too wide. This is like a NASCAR start, down towards the corner that round here they call NASCAR. It's still double file through turn 2, double file, and McQuarrie has sneaked ahead. The Audi has got ahead, and he basically just toughed that out and said, no, you shall not pass.
Yeah, that was a great move there by Tyler McQuarrie, the former drifting star, well, still drifting star, I guess. And this car, it might not have quite the legs of most of these other cars on the straight line, but it handles really, really well. That car's got a little bit more fuel this weekend. It wasn't going quite as long before its pit stops in previous races as most of its competitors, but a little bit of a break here this weekend, and that team come here, that Carbine Motorsports team, new for this season, looking to expand, by the way, next year for a second Audi. They're looking good right now, and a great start also there, but James Clay in that BMW. It wasn't the Ford of Ty Majeski that moved up at the start, surprised to me, although he was very circumspect there in that Mustang, but a great start by James Clay.
6th on the grid to 3rd halfway round the lap, and he's doing a cracking job of keeping the 2 mid-engined cars in sight ahead of him. The dark grey and green Audi is the leader. The dark grey and red Compass 360 McLaren is in 2nd place. Then the black and white Optima Batteries BMW under pressure from the chrome silver, red and black mid-engined Porsche Cayman. Then the menacing dark grey Mustang in 5th position. That's Ty Majeski. Owen Trinkler, the championship leader, is next up in that Mercedes-Benz as they come down, and it is absolutely dry now coming out of turn 17. There was puddles there not 45 minutes ago. And it will be then Tyler McQuarrie who scored as the leader at the end of that first lap down the inside. Off one of the, that's the one of the VW TCR cars that's gone for a ride onto the slippery grass at the exit of turn 17. Now we'll get back on there. He's going to lose an awful lot of ground. That was the 31 that went wide there, and straight into the pits. Straight into the pits for Luke Rumberg. And that's a mistake, or was he pushed? Doesn't seem to be any damage, but he's not taking any chances with the grass in the front of the car. It just came down too quickly. It was the 92. It was the 92 Mercedes-Benz that I think just caught him out.
Maybe he just left his braking, well, just didn't slow down the car enough and slid wide there. A little bit of a mistake there, but smart of Luke Bromberg to bring that car into the pits. We saw what happened at Road America last time out, where one of the TCR cars got its radiator blocked on the first lap with an advertising hoarding for Continental tyres, ironically. That cooked its engine before the end of the lap. That car's day was done. That is the car that is leading now in TCR, the EuropartsRacing.com team. They put a new engine in that car. Great work by that team to get the car here, and Tom O'Gorman leads TCR, but smart move by Luke to bring that car into pits, get that grass out of the radiator and live to fight on.
Yeah, and it was Mark Ramsey who started the 92 car, and Mark didn't do anything wrong. I just think that Luke came upon that car a little quicker than he was expecting, had to modify his line, and in doing that and trying to brake, just put him off the racing line, and the camber falls away there at the exit of 17. And at that point he was going to be struggling. He was actually having a good run down that roller coaster into the hog ped at the end of the lap. McQuarrie leads the second lap by a third of a second. No let up at all by Paul Holton, who was just going to sit there and put pressure on. In third place, James Clay in the number 82 BMW is still very much in with a shout. Spencer Pumpelly, Majeski, Owen Trinkler lost a position at the start, but he'll not worry about that. Think championship. TCR, two Audis, the Europarts, the E-Europarts car with the Roa motor oil on the side of that car. Sponsorship, Britt Casey Jr. with the 77, the best of the Compass cars. Going through turn 4, Pat Gallagher in 8th position. Check that, 9th position in the number 8 car. That's the blue and white Mustang. By those Mustangs look big. Even when they're around the Mercedes-Benz, they're big, they're muscular. Sound fantastic, that big V8. And they are exceedingly nimble for such a big car. Actually not as heavy as they look, those Mustangs, Jeremy.
Oh yeah, they're pretty heavy. They're certainly a lot heavier than most of the other cars in the field, but not as heavy as that McLaren running out of the front of the field. The McLaren weighs in at 1,585 kilograms, so that's what, 300 or 400 pounds. The next heaviest car is the Ford Mustang at 1,545, so it's got about a 40 kilogram weight break. Call it better part of 100 pounds, so that's quite a lot. The lightest car out there is that Porsche Cayman that's currently running in 4th position. That weighs in at just 1,295, so a full 200, almost 300 pounds lighter, 300 kilos lighter.
Yeah.
What am I talking about? I'll get it right here. 1,585 to 1,295, whatever. That's an awful lot. It's 300 kilos.
Yes.
A lot of weight.
That's me and you and me again, actually.
Yeah, it is better than 300 pounds, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's quite an extraordinary amount of weight difference. So how can these cars all race together and have a competitive race? Well, that's down to what's called balance of performance. A lot of people think that those three words put together are fairly offensive, but it really works in this form of racing, and it works because the IMSA technical team make all of their calculations based on data. It's not just sticking a finger in the air and having a look to see who's quick and what the lap times are. Sure, that comes into it, but the things like fuel consumption, the weight of the car, all of that is taken into consideration. How quick you can fill the car with fuel is all part of that as well.
It's brilliant.
Get those numbers right, and what you get is the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge, because we have had brilliant close quarters racing in terms of speed, in terms of handling, raceability, fuel consumption, stint length, you name it. The guys have got their numbers right from the IMSA technical team, and hats off to them from all the teams. Noticed even a couple of the drivers in our counts down to green saying how they were so impressed with what the IMSA guys. When was the last time you heard that? Drivers thanking the BOP officials.
Yeah,
an extraordinary job. Great battle at the front of the TCR field.
Yes, actually for fifth position. Yeah, number 10 car of Kieran O'Rourke has just holding off Michael Johnson there. A super battle, and ahead of them both there's Kieran O'Rourke, so a really good battle going on there. There's battles all the way up and down the field. The fastest lap of the race last time around, by the way, was Spencer Papelli in 4th place in that Porsche Cayman, car number 28. That was a 155.4, just a couple of tenths quicker than the race leader Tyler McQuarrie in the Audi car number 39. But we've got those 6 different manufacturers in the top 6.
Jeremy, it's raining. There's rain on the windshields of the car. There's rain, I'm hearing, in the pit lane. And it's side by side for the lead at turn 1 as Paul Holton has ignored the rain that's coming down quite heavily now. And it's at the same part of the track that we had it before. Bone dry here up by the S's, but raining coming in from the pit straight. And turn 1s, 2 and 3, very, very wet indeed. And I think Spencer Pumpelly just had an issue there and went wide. He's gone off the circuit, but he hasn't lost 4th position. Ty Majeski and Owen Trinkler struggling for grip as well through 3, 4 and 5, and the wipers are on, and there's a new leader as Paul Holton made the outside move stick. That was what got him at the start, and now he's pulled out a lead. That was a great manoeuvre in very, very odd conditions.
I tell you what, I mean, no one told Paul it was raining, I don't think, because he just said his fastest lap of the race on that lap. He was a full second quicker than Tyler McQuarrie. He's just ahead of Tyler across the start-finish line and able to complete that pass at turn 1.
And it was the McLaren crew who were desperate for a bit of rain. It keeps the intake temperatures down as well as the 31 has gone off again. That's the VW Golf, and that's clearly a little bit difficult. Outstanding outside manoeuvre in very heavy rain. Now the ground, the surface of the track is quite warm, so there'll still be grip there, but it's really hard as a driver, Jeremy, on slick tyres not to see that much rain on your windscreen that you require wipers and think, I'll have the grip. I'm pretty sure I'll have got no grip at all.
How slippery it is there at the roller coaster. Now it's really wet there. Over the other side of the racetrack it's still pretty much dry, but it certainly isn't dry here as they're coming down the hill through the roller coaster.
Now,
look at that.
Do you come in for wet tyres, Jeremy?
No, you stick it out.
The leader's gone wide, almost falls off, does fall off. The 19 car's gone off as well. Baylock's gone off as well in the 19 car.
Brittany Austin turns around in the Volt Racing Ford Mustang.
Everybody's going off at the final corner.
Yeah.
And there's people stopped in the middle of the circuit because they're trying to get into the pit.
Get in the pits. Get in the pits
now. You've got to get to the right-hand side and get in the pits now. Who went across the line? Tyler McQuarrie did. Pumpelly did. Holton's in the pits. Holton's in the pits, and he's been followed in by Nate Stacey, the car that was in 12th position. Those guys who are staying out for another lap are playing Russian roulette with their championships at the moment. The TCR cars, I reckon, will stay out on the hot, slick front-wheel drive cars. Shea Adam watching the pit lane.
We have the McLaren into the pit lane, and they have wet tires up on the wall. They had it before Paul even went for his minor spin. It is pouring on the pit lane, and there are huge rooster tails going down the front straight. One gun only is allowed for the McLaren car as the number 12 just drives past me on the pit lane. Didn't see them stop for any service. The 56 Murillo Racing Mercedes is also in. They are going to full wets, as is the Volt Racing Mustang, the car that won the last time out, the number 7. Both of the core motorsport cars are in. They are both going to slicks, as is the Stephen Cameron duo of BMWs. But John, I'm hearing that there are some significant penalties that are about to be handed out.
Well, certainly one. The Eurosport number 12 Audi, Tom O'Gorman in the pit for wet weather tyres. He's been given a penalty for leaving a gap at the start. Now, I thought that was a reasonably sensible thing to stay away from the back of the GS field, but he's been penalised for it.
The drivers are told they're not supposed to leave that gap, and he left. I think if you leave a little bit of a gap, it's a smart move, but he left too much. I think that's Kieran. No, that's Tom O'Gorman is off the road into the tyres. He's just served his drive-through penalty, and he's now put it off the road at turn 4. So.
Correct. So he did actually. He just drove through to do his drive-through. He hasn't put new tyres on that car. Let's have a look as he comes out and see if there's any damage. There is. There's damage.
There's damage. Oops.
On and following him straight off. That is another one of the Audi TCRs, and that is Kieran O'Rourke. I think that is Kieran O'Rourke who's followed him off.
Well, that's his
in the 10
teammate, if
car.
that's the case. Whoops, as Nick Galante almost slithers off the road. This is so slippery
Nick
out there
Galante's
right
leading
now.
ST. It's definitely wet weather tyres. Definitely wet weather tyres.
Yeah.
Ironically, of course, with people falling off, if there's a full course caution, those who've stayed out might get a little bit of an advantage.
Well, no, the guys who've made their pit stops will have the advantage
that's a good
because
point.
everybody else is going to come into pits afterwards. Spencer Mapelli staying out. I say that's brave. That is very brave by Spencer. He must be.
It's Porsche weather, but it's Porsche 911 weather, I would have said.
You know, Spencer Mapelli, I mean, he's hugely experienced, former champion in ST. So he's got a massive amount of experience. He knows particularly this racetrack as well. But that's awfully brave. I mean, 2 minutes 29 last time around, so more than 30 seconds. He's off the road at turn one.
And he's having to avoid all kinds of carnage with people who can't even get the car slowed down. Championship leader is in the pits. Shea Adam has this Continental tyre. Pit lane report on Owen Trinkler.
Owen Trinkler has decided that it is time to go to wet weather tires, and none too soon, as both of the Ford Mustangs from Multimatic come down the pit lane as well. And as soon as I say that, it stops raining. They are putting fuel in the car. They are not changing the tires on the 46. The hot slicks are staying on the car that came into the race as the GS Championship leader. Owen is going back out. All he did was top off with fuel, and the rain has stopped. The track might start to dry out now as it's starting to get a little bit more sunny, and it's time for the hoods and umbrellas to go back down.
Well, that's interesting. You leave it as long as you can. Also in the pit lane, the number 15 Ford of Ty Majeski. That's been off the road. Jeff Mosing's in the Tangerine 56 Mercedes. The 26 BMW's in, and Shea Adam, what's going on with their tyres?
Well, wets for everybody else. It was only Owen Trinkler who came in and stayed on the slicks. It's wet tires for Jeff Mosing and wet tires for Ty Majeski. No driver changes yet. We have not yet minimum time, so everybody else will be staying in the car. And as people come down the front straight, there is a huge amount of mist that is being kicked up. But again, there is nothing falling from the sky.
Well, the other thing, Shea, thank you, is that from turn 5 and 6 onwards, all the way around, back round to the roller coaster at turn 14, it's bone dry.
Yeah.
There are a couple of spots of rain on the windscreen of our broadcast bus, but if you're on wet tyres, they're going to be ripped to shreds in the 2/3 of the track that is bone dry at the moment.
Yeah. This is fascinating stuff. This is really
great driving, by the way, from Spencer Pumpelly in the 28 Porsche.
And staying on the dirty part of the racetrack. There's more grip out there on the dirty side. There's spent pieces of rubber on the outside. That's going to give it a little bit more grip. It'll be moving around a lot. But this is great driving.
You have to be brave.
Spencer Pumpelly. You've got to be super confident too.
Particularly coming down 17, because everything in your mind said, give yourself enough road so if it slides, you can hold it. And you've actually got to pretty much ride the cushion and find, in dirt racing terms, you've got to find that grip right on the outside, just as if you were riding up against the dirt cushion on a short track in World of Outlaws. That's what the guys are doing, and Pumpelly is doing it the best at the moment. Side by side with Tyler McQuarrie.
He's come all the way back. He made 6 seconds on Spencer Pumpelly on that last lap. Great, this is tremendous stuff. The two kind of mid-engine cars there, the Porsche and the Audi. The Porsche sliding wide at turn 3. Pumpelly is going to lose the lead. Is he to Tyler McQuarrie?
I think he actually...
Turn 4, is he going to break too deep?
I think he actually went onto that part of the track deliberately, and McQuarrie's finding grip where the other cars can't at the moment. And is that one of the ST cars that's in there as well? Is that the 21 Porsche, the ST21 Porsche? Down. Well, it's about to get its lap back because it's on the wet bits, presumably on wet weather tyres, the body motion number 21. Yes, it is that car, and I'm presuming they've come into the pit lane for new tyres. On the wet bits, he can drive anywhere he wants. Jason Rabe has been into the pits on lap number 6. But Tyler McQuarrie then, now back at the lead on a absolutely perfect for slick track for 2/3 of it.
Yeah.
He's at Oak Tree at the moment.
DJ Fitzpatrick making his debut this weekend from Reston, Virginia. He's up into 2nd place in TCR in that car number 32. Great effort by him. He's running right with the overall GS Championship leader Owen Trinkler at the moment, as we see Tyler McQuarrie here making full use of the dry track heading toward the roller coaster. But a great drive by DJ Fitzpatrick. He's 2nd in TCR, 12th place overall. Britt Casey Jr. though, he's one of the quickest cars on the track.
Tangerine Green 56, Murillo Racing. Jeff Mosing's gone off at turn 4. And it's very wet there. The problem is, as you turn in on the transition between 3 and 4, you stay across to the right-hand side, and just as you're turning in, there's just a little puddle there, and you really have to come, and even Spencer Pumpelly found that out, you have to come in a car's width, maybe 2 cars' width to the left-hand side, which in dry conditions would completely compromise your entry to that left-hand corner. But you have to do it. There's a lot of walking wounded out there at the moment as well, including the Audi, and that's the number 11 car, excuse me, that went off earlier on. So that wasn't Kieran O'Rourke who went into the tyres after Tom O'Gorman. That was, in fact, the Don Ustuck car.
Ustuck, you're right.
Yeah. My apologies. Andrew Davis in the Camaro, 3rd position, hasn't been into the pits yet. He's on slicks. So at the front of the GS field, let me run you down the tyres because this is going to become very important. Still an hour and 42 minutes to go. Tyler McQuarrie by 2 seconds in the 39 dark grey Audi leads on slick Continental tyres. His last lap was 2 minutes 18.
Oh no,
and he's
McQuarrie's off.
And he's off. He was 2 minute 18 was his last lap against 2:21 and worse from everyone else. He's damaged the car.
For the cars that have been in the pits, Paul Holton in the car number 76, the McLaren, he turned at 2 minutes 15 on that last lap, as did Nate Stacey in the car number 60. That's the car that's already won 3 races this season. A lot of damage to the right front on the number 28 Porsche Cayman. That's the car that was 2nd in the championship coming in here before this weekend.
28 Spencer Pumpelly with damage from the guardrail, and he might have to come in. He's got something catching, I think, on the front end, and it's beginning to cause a problem with that car. He's got his 4-way flashers on as well. That's not slowing him down, obviously, but the front end of that car is beginning to get a little bit leery when he gets up to top speed. So Pumpelly leads again from Andrew Davis in 2nd, returning to the championship with Chevrolet Camaro. He's 14 seconds, check that, 12 seconds back from the leader. He's on slick tyres. 3rd now on slick tyres is James Clay in the BMW number 82. Best of the cars that have stopped is Pat Gallagher, but he's 35 seconds back.
But he turned at 2 minutes 12 on the last lap, so 2.5 seconds quicker even than Paul Holton.
But that's going to still take him.
Doesn't matter. 6
seconds. If the guys on slicks don't have to pit, then they are okay. They can lose this time. They can lose 5 or 6 seconds a lap for the next 4 or 5 laps, but not much more than that.
No, Pumpelly's in trouble, isn't he? He's coming to the pit lane slowly.
Pumpelly is into the pit lane, and Tyler McQuarrie's come in as well. So 1st and 2nd, Andrew Davis leads for Camaro. Chevy coming back to the championship, leads, and we're barely 20 minutes into the race. Yeah?
Can I say woo and indeed who for that?
You may.
It's Spencer Pumpelly going behind the wall in the 28 Porsche. The RS1 crew came into this weekend 3rd in the championship. We're looking for a lot stronger. There is significant right front damage to the bodywork. They're worried about suspension. They're going to take him back to the garage, do a further evaluation, and they took wet weather tires back there as well in case they need to make a change. For the Audi, that car has come into the pit lane. It has gone up on the air jacks, and they are checking the right front, but they are also changing all 4 of those Continental tires. I'll have to get a bit closer before I can tell if they are slicks or wets that have gone on to Tyler's car, but he will be going back out on track. Spencer has to go back to the garage.
And it's just 1 point off the championship lead with Spencer Pumpelly coming into this weekend, so that's very, very costly. It was a brave gamble to stay out there. Spencer was one of the guys you'd bank on to make advantage of that, but it's not turned out to be in his favour. And the fastest car on the track, once again on that last lap, was Patrick Gallagher. Actually, it wasn't. It was Jeff Mosing, way down in 17th position, the car number 17, who was a couple of tenths quicker than Patrick Gallagher.
Shea Adam has news on Tyler McQuarrie and the Audi.
Full new wet Continentals.
Really?
Yep, they put them back on wets.
Right, okay. Well, see, I think that's a bigger gamble now. If you've stayed out on slicks, you stay out on slicks unless it gets considerably worse, because you're no worse off. Everybody else has stopped behind you. Yes, you're being closed down, but if it gets worse, everybody else is going to have to stop for new wets because they're being worn out on the 2/3 of the track that is dry. So I think if you're on slicks now, you stay on slicks and you tough it out unless there's more rain.
Yeah, James Clay, this is the battle for second place coming down to Hogpen now. It's James Clay, birthday boy this week from Dublin, Virginia, in that BIMA World BMW team. A great effort. He too is very much in the championship, in the thick of the championship, so he needs good points in that car number 82, John. And McLaren, Corey Fergus right behind him.
And can I just mention that in 4th overall and just 11 seconds off the lead is Britt Casey Jr. in a TCR car. And he's going to be loving this because it's so much more predictable in a front-wheel drive car. When you put the throttle on, it starts to drift out. It's pushing, but you can control that with the throttle. You can left foot brake a little bit and get the car to rotate. And these cars are all DSG boxes, double clutch boxes. It might even be now that he's pushed it across into drive and he's not even using the paddles. He's just letting the clever gearbox do its thing. I reckon that's what I'd be doing right now, but then again, I haven't got any skill as a racing driver.
The fastest car on the track by a long way on that last lap was Andrew Davis. He stayed out on those slick tyres and now he's reaping the benefit. It's no more rain at the moment.
No.
The track is drying and he's pulling away. He was a full 3 seconds plus faster than James Clay and for Corey Fergus on that last lap.
Oh, this is going to be a cracker. The weather may yet play another part. Where's Owen Trinkler got to? He's still in 10th position, our championship leader. He has been down the pit lane, but he didn't change tyres, remember. So if it stays like this, he won't have to come back in again. All of the guys who put wet weather tyres on are now going to be trying to get to their normal pit window. That's their only chance at this point. They've got to get to 45 minutes in the race, Jeremy. So they've got to get to 45 minutes in the race if they've got any chance. If they've got to make an extra stop now, that's going to take them way out of contention. Sunshine with now quite noticeable shadows. Off goes the BMW, number 72, and it's a long way off on the wet grass. The green and black machine.
That's Mike Vess, who was running in 7th position.
He's going to be so annoyed with himself. He's on slick tyres, Jeremy. His problem now is, having gone off, is how does he get any purchase on the wet grass? This might bring out a full course caution, although he's a long way out. And by the way, a quick word, and thank you to everybody who's tweeted in at IMSA Radio here, as Mike Vess is going to get back on in that green classic BMW sponsored car. A quick word, lots of people tweeting in, giving massive credit to Race Control for leaving this green when the rain came down. Everybody's saying everyone had the choice to come in for tyres if they needed to. It's really refreshing to see the guys in Race Control leave it up to the racers and their teams, and I completely agree with that. It's really made for an interesting race. A little bit too much curb for Andrew Davis as he came through turn 3 and headed towards turn 4, just unsettled the white, black and lime green Camaro back in the championship. This, Jeremy, a brand new car built for Rebel Rock Racing.
Yeah, Rebel Rock Racing make its return to the series after a couple of years, well, after a year or so away. Robin Liddell, who will be taking over this car from Andrew Davis later in the season. He drove for Rebel Rock in the ST class in a Porsche Cayman a couple of years ago. Kept in touch with that team when Stevenson Motorsports closed down toward the midway through last season, when and that's a championship that Davis and Liddell won for Stevenson Motorsports a couple of years ago in 2015. Kept in touch with them. He's put this program together. They're planning on running 2 cars for next season, but this is a brand new car. What a job Andrew Davis is doing. Once again, he is the fastest car on the track. 2 minutes 10.3 for him last time around. The only other guy in 10s was Jeff Westphal, but he's a long, long way down the order. Having made the pit stop in the Audi. Good, our power is coming back on here. We had a brief power cut there. But what a job Andrew Davis is doing. I mean, that's experience for you. The sun is out now in this part of the racetrack. There's some pretty nasty looking clouds around to the south or southwest of here. That's where the weather is coming from, but that won't worry Andrew Davis. He'll be just doing the best he can. He's got spotters out around the racetrack. They'll be keeping an eye on the conditions. And as we've seen already in this race, that conditions can be very different on one side of the racetrack to the other. But Andrew Davis, one of the most experienced drivers in the field, and a former series champion of course as well. And you know, he knows exactly what to do. and it's good to see him back in this championship for the first time in a couple of years, and he is now pulling away at the front. The gap last time around was almost 10 seconds over Corey Fergus, who's moved into second position.
Let's go down to Shea Adam for a Continental Tire pit update.
The 77 Audi of Compass 360 Racing that started from the second position in the TCR category has come into the pits. They're going to refuel Britt Casey Jr., just give him a little bit more to try and extend the window further. No tire change on this car, so he will be going back out on track on the hot slicks in which he came into the pit lane, and they're just waiting on the fuel hose. Brake lights are flickering as Britt Casey Jr. re-engages first gear and has a little bit of trouble getting it going. There he goes. And leaves the pit lane. A lot of grass fell out of the front of that car, so maybe it was a dual-purpose pit stop there, John.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Davis now by almost 9 seconds over Corey Ferguson. The McLaren now in second, with James Clear 2 seconds further back in third place. 77 Audi. Britt Casey Jr. just gone back out again.
Yep. He gave up fifth position overall, but resumes still third, I think.
And notice, by the way, Tom O'Gorman, who went off earlier on and did quite a bit of damage to the right-hand side, as there was a brake fire on the 77 car when he came in. That's just a bit of, isn't that ironic, when it's pouring down and rain at part of the circuit, that you get a brake fire from the dry grass that was caused by the water on the track when he slid off. Tom O'Gorman, by the way, has continued in the 12 EU reports Audi and has retaken the lead, now in 7th position, 46 seconds away from the overall leader, who is Andrew Davis. Let's take a little breath here with just on half an hour completed, so a quarter distance here. Tom O'Gorman leading in TCR in 7th position overall. In ST, Nick Galante has led from the drop of the green flag. It's Colin Mullen in the 52 mini in second, and Mike Lamara in the 73 mini in third. They'll be having great fun in those minis. In GS, Andrew Davis stayed out and is still on the slick Continental tyres. So the 71 Chevy Camaro back in the championship for the last 3 rounds this year, and hoping for a 2-car team next year for Rebel Rock Racing. Robin Liddell, an integral part of putting that deal together, is ahead by just on 7 seconds from Corey Ferguson, the MIA, the 69 McLaren, who's got 5 seconds on James Clay in the 82 BMW. And then Pat Gallagher is half a minute further back, and Pat is the first guy on wet weather tyres in that number 8 Mod Sports Multimatic Ford Mustang, and I can only imagine that he's going to start suffering. In fact, last time around 209.7, so his tyres still working okay on the damp bits, but the problem is he's wearing them down, and as he wears them down on the dry bits, they're not as effective on the wet bits, and therefore it just becomes a vicious circle, pun intended, when we're talking about tyres, and his lap times are going to start going out, as are Paul Holton's. He did a 13 last time around. Owen Trinkler is now back up to 6th position. Now, Owen's been through the pits, but he didn't change tyres, so he's still on slicks, despite the fact he's got 1 pit stop next to his name. He did a 2:07 last time around, so he was the 3rd quickest guy on the track as the track comes back to him. And that was a smart decision by TGM and Owen to just put some fuel in on the end of lap number 6 and send him with those hot Continental slicks he'd had on from the start.
Absolutely right. The fastest car on the track, though, last time around was Corey Fergus, who pulled out more than a second and a half on the overall race leader. This time they come past one more time. Andrew Davis completes lap 14, again going quicker and quicker. 2 minutes 2.5 this lap. We'll just run down the last few laps for Andrew Davis, our race leader. 2 minutes 10.3, 2 minutes 7.4, 2 minutes 5.7, last one 2 minutes 2.5. So the track is drying out. He's going 2 seconds a lap quicker each of the last 4 or 5 laps. That is really difficult to judge those conditions. But once again, though, Corey Fergus a little bit quicker than him last time around. 2 minutes 2.0 for the 2nd place car of Corey Fergus. James Clay, he's losing ground in 3rd position, but doing exactly what he has to do at this stage to keep his championship hopes alive. And those three cars are now almost a full half a minute ahead of Patrick Gallagher, who turned a 2:09 on those wet weather tyres. Paul Holton 2 minutes 10 on his wet weather tyres. Owen Trinkler closing up quickly behind those two, 2 minutes 3 on his slicks. Fascinating stuff.
Now, the guys on wet weather tyres, as I've mentioned, they've got to get another 15 minutes here. They really have got to try and get another 15 minutes because they're not in the window to change drivers. They're not in the window to make it on 2 pit stops. It's all gone horribly wrong for the guys who played it safe. And, you know, we were saying, oh, it's wet, you've got to get in, you've got to get in. And they didn't do anything wrong. It was just the situation changed so quickly. And Shea Adam, the leader of the championship, Owen Trinkler, he and the team reacted super quickly when he came into the pit lane.
Cat-like skills, because when Owen entered the pit lane, when he hit the pit lane speed limiter, it was raining. By the time he got to his box, it wasn't, and that's the difference. They had the new tires up on the wall. They were ready to go to wets, but because the rain ceased, they decided to leave him on the Continentals in which he came in, which were slicks, and send him back out on those once again. So that was the sort of reaction time from Joe Vardy and the Team TGM team that it was able to get them back out in good standing.
Thank you, Shea. Well, we're used to having the last half an hour of 40 minutes. Off goes
Tim
the
Probert.
65 Tangerine car, Tim Probert, and that's again. Turn 3 is taking all the prisoners this weekend, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is. He was running well in the 12th position there, dicing with his teammate actually. Which was Jeff Mosing at the wheel number 56 car. So he's gone through. Boy, 2:01.4 last time round. 2 minutes 0.9 for Corey Fergus in second place. Less than six seconds now between first and second. 1:59 though for Owen Trinkler. He was the fastest man on track last time round, and he is now up into 5th position.
Super smart. And don't forget, Jeremy, he's got a few laps of fuel more than the other guys on the slicks. So now what he's got, the advantage he's got now is if it looks like it might rain, it might not. He can stay out there and make that decision at the last yawning moment. It might have looked like a mistake that they came in and then didn't change the tyres. Not at all. That was smart. He saved himself an extra pit stop, and it looks impressive at the moment. He doesn't have to win this race, but they do have to finish and get good points to keep their championship lead. Yeah,
and it was probably going to be, I think, is this going to, everyone's going to have to make 2 pit stops. That might be enough, you know, that if it stays green the whole way, I'm thinking that possibly that splash that he got after 6 laps is going to be enough to get him to the end of the race.
Really?
Could be, well,
just
possibly.
one more stop?
Possibly.
Oh, that would be really
keep
interesting.
an eye on that one. It'll be.
Well, everybody will have slowed down when it was wet, so you're using less fuel, you're using less throttle, a heck of a lot less throttle. So you might have something there, Jeremy. We may have to just keep an eye on that.
Says Mark Ramsey's been off the road in car number 92, but the lead now is down to less than 3 seconds between Andrew Davis and Corey Fergus in the number 71 and 69. There's a Chevrolet that leads, McLaren in second place, BMW third, Ford in fourth, Mercedes in fifth. The second of the McLaren's Paul Holton started from the pole position, but he turned a 2:08 last time around to the 1:59 of Owen Trinkler. Actually, they still haven't completed, have they, their 16th lap.
Don't forget, Paul Holton was the first car to go onto wet weather tyres, Jeremy. That McLaren came in, as he slid off, he managed to get back onto onto the right side of the road, and being the right side of the road, I meant that, and therefore get into the pit lane.
And Tom McGorman now, by the way, he is up into 7th position and closing very rapidly. He might even actually gone past him. Not sure where they are on the racetrack. He might have gone past Paul Holton. That's the TCR leader in 7th position overall. He's about 70 seconds behind the leader. Massive gap. There's 3.3 seconds between first and second. And in and then 14 seconds from second to third. Also of interest in ST, Nick Galante in car number 81. That's the Bimmerwell BMW on the screen now, heading toward the roller coaster. He leads the class, but right behind him now is the 16-year-old Colin Mullen in that bright yellow and black Mini, car number 52. That is a battle for the lead in ST, 21st position overall. A bit of traffic on the previous lap for our race leader Andrew Davis, but still the gap from first to second less than 3 seconds. He's down to a 2 minutes 0.7. Our race leader as he completes lap 17.
And still, what we've got 1 hour 22. So still 7 minutes to go, 8 minutes to go before they are in the window. And let's, we've got pits. I can hear a wheel gun behind you there, Shea. Who's the? Oh, it's the 80. It's the 80 Ford. Martin Barkey is into the pits now. This isn't late enough, rather, to change drivers yet.
No, but they're putting them back on slicks. They're going to see what the track conditions are like, and then when they can come in and pit and change drivers to hand over to Brett Sandberg, they won't have to do the tire change. So that pit stop can be much, much shorter.
Yeah. You know, you're going to pick up probably 10 seconds a lap on slicks as opposed to being on wet weather tire, so it could be worth it.
So what looked to be the right decision has turned out not to be. Those who gambled have gambled correctly, and McLaren's in as well, Shea. Now this was the first car that went on to wet weather tyres.
It was, and this should be a shorter fuel stop for the McLaren. They have to change all 4 tires separately, and the air hose goes in, and they're going to change the left rear first. Now, is that a sticker slick? It is, so they are switching back to the slicks as well.
Okay.
The TCR cars are on the move here, and Tom O'Gorman now in car number 12 is up to 6th place overall. He's got 22 seconds over DJ Fitzpatrick, who's really doing an excellent job in that second position in the Rumcastle LLC Volkswagen. That's car number 32, 7th position overall. Then not too far behind him is Nate Stacey in the GS Ford number 60, and then closing rapidly on him is Britt Casey Jr. in number 77 TCR Audi. That's a car that's already made a pit stop.
"40 minutes gone, and the leader is Andrew Davis, but only now by a second, as the two white cars are getting very close together. Very different in philosophy, very different in how they look. Front-engined Camaro with the V8, mid-engined V8 for the McLaren. One big, bluff, muscly, the very epitome of American muscle car. Behind it and chasing it down, the svelte low lines of the McLaren.
I was reading your mind there, exactly right. And it's a super battle between these two. Corey Fergus has just had a 157.8. The fastest lap of the race was set a long time ago to 55. That was by Spencer Papelli before the rain came. So he's within 2 seconds of that now. Corey Fergus really doing a fine job in that MIA McLaren. It was MIA for a race. They missed the race at Lime Rock Park. They had all sorts of struggles season, that MIA team. Great to see them back. Great also, of course, to see Rebel Rock Racing back, and that number 71 Chevy Camaro. This is the first time we've seen the GT4 Camaro in the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge this season. They're coming up there to lap. That's the 59 Ford Mustang that's running in the 10th position.
Yeah, only the top 9 now on the lead lap, Jeremy, and that's Jack Rouse Jr. going a lap back. He's still on wet weather tyres. 208 last time around, as against a 158 on used from the beginning of the race slick tyres for Andrew Davis in the Camaro, who keeps clipping that inside curb on turn 3. Turn 3.
So he make the turn, isn't it?
He must like that. Feel like he's almost ditch hooked it. Paul Holton has rejoined, and Shea Adam has just had another pit caller. Shea, who was that?
The number 92 Mercedes, the big red car that already looks really angry, is steaming because there was a load of grass packed in the radiator of this car. Mark Ramsey not yet getting out, though, because Alex Premal cannot get in since the minimum time has not been met. They were about a lap short. And also is the 56 Murillo Racing car in for the exact same reason. So both of the Mercedes doing a little
So
bit
the
of trimming.
56 or the 65?
65.
Right, okay.
So it is Tim Probert and Brett Mosing sharing that car. But again, full of grass, and they are changing tires. They are going to slicks now while they have an opportunity to.
They're still 3 minutes away from being able to change the driver as the leaders are on the back straight. A huge amount of grass being pulled out of the Mark Ramsey dark red number 92. Shea Adam was on the spot for that one. You could feed a small army of llamas with that for a wee while. And the lead's changed. The lead's changed. A little bit of a bump and run from Corey Fergus as the leaders came up. I mean, fantastic manoeuvre in a place that I'm not sure I've seen a pass done before. Certainly not for position. Lapped car that was in there was Nate Stacey in the number 60 Ford Mustang. And just as they were coming up to the outbraking point, potential outbraking point at the top of the roller coaster, fairness, the McLaren didn't get it done, but then Andrew was held up by Nate Stacey, and the McLaren just about squeezes through with a tiny little brush of the right rear. I think that's okay, Jeremy.
Absolutely. Around the outside he went there at the top of the hill, the roller coaster. Brilliant move by Corey Fergus. That was absolutely excellent. He was boxed in a little bit behind that Mustang coming down the hill, but he just stood his ground there. He had the inside line for the left-hander, and that has got that McLaren into the lead of the race for the first time.
Yeah. The outside became the inside at the left-hander.
58.9 that time around.
Wow.
Great laps here by Corey Fergus. Absolutely fantastic. James Clay, by the way, having had some sort of an issue on the last lap. He lost 7 seconds, but he's a lot quicker on this time around. He was the turn to 58.6. Owen Trinkler of 57.1 last time around. That's within a second of his fastest lap of the race so far.
Still a minute to go before we're in the window for the driver change. And for the GSs, that would be about the right time to split this race up into 3 parts. Possibly go a little bit long on the middle sector if you can. These GS cars probably do somewhere closer to 50 minutes, but not very much more than that around here. But with the wet weather early on, that will have allowed them to stretch out. And don't forget, the only slick tired car, 4th position and 55 seconds away from the leader, Owen Trinkler, has got 6 laps more fuel than the leader has, and in fact than anyone ahead of him. Trinkler down to a 57.1 last time around, fastest man on the track. This has been a great piece of strategic driving by TGM and by Owen Trinkler. Not sure who made that call to leave the dry weather tyres on, but it was absolutely correct.
Yeah, but the real correct call was to stay out there. Now that's what the top 3 have all done. Corey Fergus, Andrew Davis and James Clay there, a full half a minute ahead of Owen Trinkler.
But the thing that they did there, Jeremy, was they didn't panic. Came into the pit lane, right, it's raining, it's stopped raining. We're not going to need to put tyres on. What do? Still put the fuel in. Put the fuel in. That gives them 6 laps more. And Clay's in from 3rd position. And it's raining again. There's rain on the windscreen of the number 15 Ford of Ty Majeski, down a lap on the leaders in 13th position. Shea Adam down in the pit lane.
Not yet raining in the pit lane, but I haven't taken my rain gear off yet just in case. For the 82, the Bimmer World Racing BMW, the birthday car this week. James Clay jumps out. Tyler Cook, the birthday boy, gets in. They are putting on new slick Continentals for that car, as well as the number 7, because Alan Brynjolfsson can get out since his 45-minute minimum drive time is up. And Trent Hinman will be installed for the remainder of this race. He also is getting slick Continentals for the Ford Mustang as they take off the wets from the bright yellow highlighter car that won the last time out. We also have the 8, the Multimatic Racing Ford Mustang. Patrick Gallagher should be getting out, handed over to Chad McCumbee, who will be doing every sort of rain dance he could possibly imagine, because that guy loves it when conditions are not positive. It is the 7 car that comes out first before anybody else, because the BMW with a slight bit of left rear damage is having to be assessed.
Problem for the 82.
Yeah, the BMW number 82 has been grinding away the inside of the wheel because the wheel either wasn't seated properly or there was something stuck in there. They're going to have a look at the right rear on that car, and that is going to slow them down and take that car out of contention.
Oh, that's tragic for that
There was a little
team.
bit of side-by-side contact with someone earlier on, wasn't there? And we did say about that. You're going to have to be a little bit careful about that. Corey Fergus leads for McLaren.
That's such a shame for James Clay. He gone purple in sector 1, fastest of all on that in lap. That's exactly what he needed to do. He'd completed his 45 minutes, get that car over to James Clay with a fresh set of Continental slicks, and who knows what would have happened from there. They'd played everything right. That's a real shame for that Bimmer World team.
Tom O'Gorman in the number 12 Audi, still out there. I think he's on wet weather tyres. It doesn't matter now. He'll have worn all the grooves out, the blocks down, so that it's pretty much a slick. He's doing 205s on those wet weather tyres, if that is indeed the case. He's 4th, and he's less than a minute behind, he's just on a minute behind the leaders at the moment, and still just on the lead lap. Owen Trinkler does a 56.0. That car's fastest lap of the race, and that is very impressive indeed on very worn tyres now. But the fuel load coming down for Owen Trinkler, probably, I reckon he's going to be close to the hour mark by the time he comes in, Jeremy. You might be right, you know, a little bit of luck there. Hugh Plum might be able to take that car to the end. They brim it full of fuel and they get a bit of yellow or a bit of weather. Extraordinary race. In ST, Nick Galante has led from the drop of the green flag. He's in 15th position. And he's only a couple of seconds, call it 3 seconds, ahead of Mike Lamara in the Mini number 73, who's got the 52 Mini right behind him. Colin Mullen behind the wheel of that car. So 2nd and 3rd in ST together, the 2 Minis. Nate Norenberg actually in the 37, who's dropped back to 4th. He's only another second further back. But at the front of the field, Corey Fergus leads it from Andrew Davis, 2 seconds in arrears in the new, or back to the championship, should I say, for the Camaro. Owen Trinkler in 3rd. Then the TCR battle. Tom O'Gorman leads by 15.5 seconds.
Over Britt Casey Jr., but Britt Casey Jr. just overtaken DJ Fitzpatrick for 2nd place in the TCR class.
Who never pitted, so he's still on the slick tyres that he started. That's a fantastic drive for DJ.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. It certainly is, particularly for somebody making their debut at this level. He's done some club racing, apparently had a big shunt here a few years ago.
So he knows how to avoid that, then, obviously.
Quite. He doesn't want to do that again, that's for sure, but it's been a really good debut by DJ. He'll hand over that car to Rob Ferriol, who we saw in action earlier today in the Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge race.
Well.
He had a very good run. He finished, I think, in the podium for the Gold Cup class there, so he's currently in the 3rd position car at the moment. Not in it, but he will be in it fairly shortly.
He'll be brimful of confidence as well after that drive. He made a couple of outstanding overtaking manoeuvres in that Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge. So Jeremy, now we're just on 50 minutes having been driven. I'd normally think that this was about the time we'd see the GS car coming in, GS field coming in. I think we might be able to stretch it another lap or 2 from here, which means that Owen Trinkler, who's got 6 laps more fuel than our leader, will be able to go across the hour. I reckon he'll be able to go across the hour, and then, well, at the very least, it'll just be a tiny splash of fuel for Hugh Plum that could just make the difference in how the situation is at the moment. IMSA Radio and IMSA TV live from trackside for the Biscuitville Grand Prix, the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge 2018, 6 minutes past 3 in the afternoon, on what's been an outstanding day already of track competition, and with much more action to come this afternoon on IMSA Radio and IMSA TV, including a couple of more races live in sound and vision. The mini battle now coming past us and up through the S's. Lamara, Mullen, Norenberg absolutely together the three of them battling away, and the leader coming through them in the McLaren is Corey Fergus, and still the 82 BMW, which came in third position, is in the pit lane, and it's dropped way down now. That right rear issue. We'll get a word if we can with James Clay.
Yeah, such a shame for that team. They've done everything absolutely right in this race.
Agreed. Still the odd splash.
Just a couple of laps before he came into the pits, he lost a lot of time on that one lap. Whether that was whether there was some contact with a slower car, perhaps, or whatever it was, it's clearly caused a problem on that right rear corner of the car.
Yeah.
That's another problem then for two of the championship contenders already. Two of the top three. The number 28 car we saw out early on. That was Spencer Pimpelli and the RS1 Porsche Cayman. Problems also for the fourth place car coming in here, James, that Bimmerworld BMW. So it's Owen Trinkler who's looking good at the moment, the championship leader, currently in third position in that car number 46 and looking, well, way out from anywhere. He's not under siege. It's 50 seconds behind the top two as we see the race leader onto pit lane.
53 minutes and 25 laps, end of the 24th lap. As he comes in, it'll be a full 4 tyre change. They can go for the driver change. A scrubbed set of Continentals going on as the fuel goes in as well. So Corey Fergus is already out. Owen Trinkler's just put his best second sector in, as is DJ Fitzpatrick, by the way, who's back up into second because Britt Casey Jr. is taking the lead in TCR in fourth position. Tom O'Gorman down into third.
Yeah, must have had an off on that last lap.
Must have had an
off. Lost a lot of ground.
Yeah, 2:11 is a long lap time. 15 car going to take a penalty. That's the Scott Maxwell Ford, the Multimatic car, drive through for not having the fire extinguisher properly manned at the pit stop. Oh dear, that's a procedural error that they'll not be happy about. The MIA McLaren is down and away. The driver change is completed, and we can find out what the problem was with the 82 BMW. James Clay played it perfectly, came in third position, but Shay, sometimes the racing gods just aren't with you.
James, it looked like such a great start to the race. What happened?
Yeah, it was a great start. You know, great first turn. Then the weather started coming, and we navigated through that. Fell back. You know, it just got slick as ice out there. 5 miles an hour, and you were pirouetting off track. We survived. I'd say there's a good bit of luck in there, but we made it through all that, running strong. The track was drying up, everything was starting to go our way. Played our strategy. We kept those slick Continentals on the car, and all of a sudden I got a little bit of a vibration. And then breaking into turn 10, I said, man, we got a real problem. I got to come in. And we sheared some wheel studs. I brought it in on 3 wheels, tires, and you know, this is not an easy repair, so we're stuck in the pits and watching the cars go by and watching our championship go with it.
I'm sorry to see this happen, but hopefully you can get a win at Laguna Seca.
Fingers crossed.
And very classy for James Clay to talk to us there as well. You can hear the disappointment in his voice as in comes the leader, Andrew Davies. It is just 55 minutes gone, and Owen Trinkler's in great position here, and in 46 seconds he's going to come through and take the lead as the Saltire colours, the blue and white of helmet colours of Robin Liddell, replaces the stars and stripes of Andrew Davies, and that is those are their helmet colours. The Scotsman is in. I remember seeing Robin Liddell at Watkins Glen jumping into a car on either slicks or maybe it might have been intermediates in those days when it was raining. No chance to find out what it was like. It was a Camaro that he jumped into then, and he was immediately on the pace despite the fact he had no clue how much grip there was out there. Robin will be cursing his luck that he didn't get a chance to run in the rain. Also in the number 11, Don Ister Audi with the right front wing and fender all gone now. Not looking as pretty as it did earlier on. Owen Trinkler scored as the leader. Jesse Lazar will come through in a moment and come into second position. Britt Casey Jr. might yet come through into third. No, not, he's a little too far back. The first of the TCR cars, though, in fourth position once Robin Liddell is back out on the track, which he is. Now, did Robin Liddell get out ahead of Jesse Lazar? That's my question. It must have been close. He's through turn 4 at the moment for the white. He did not. He did not. So Lazar got at the turning around the 69 car just a tiny little bit earlier, a couple of 3 laps earlier, Jeremy. That's given them the advantage of the new rubber. And what that has done is allowed them to build up a lead, having a couple of faster laps. And Lazar has got ahead of the 71 now with Robin Liddell behind the wheel. And Owen Trinkler, remember, has got at least another 4 laps, I reckon. He should go to around about lap 30, and by then the hour mark will have gone. We'll be halfway through the race, and if he can get anywhere near an hour and 4, an hour and 5, then they will make their last pit stop.
Yep. First and third in TCR onto pit lane. That's number 77 and number 12. That puts DJ Fitzpatrick up into 4th position overall and the leader in ST. Remarkable drive by DJ Fitzpatrick, making his debut from Reston, Virginia, making his debut in the Continental Sports Car Challenge this weekend in the second of the Rumberg LLC Volkswagens. There's number 12. That's Tom O'Gorman making his pit stop. The
Continental Tire pit lane report with the guy who made the pass of the race so far, Corey Fergus. How did you make that one stick?
It's a really exciting race so far. You know, we got caught out in the beginning just trying to be a little conservative. I think it paid off just staying on the track, you know, and reeling those guys back in. And one by one, we got our way to the lead. And man, is it much more fun when you're out front. I'll tell you, you know, less spray. And you can just focus on hitting your marks and don't have to worry about anything else. So it was a lot of fun. I hope Jesse can bring it home for us.
Just how perilous was it on the slick tires?
That was the slickest driving I've ever dealt with, that's for sure. Turn 3 and 4 was a disaster. I think you could probably see everybody driving off track there. There was nothing you could do. I mean, even in second gear, what you thought was too slow, there's no such thing as too slow. In the rain on slicks, so it was too exciting.
Are you going to have to make another pit stop for a splash before the end of the race?
You know, I really don't know. Even I was so focused on driving out there, I don't know what situation we're in, so fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed for you indeed. Good luck.
Black flag for the number 15 and Scott Maxwell, who hadn't come in for their drive-through for the fire extinguisher. Now that means they'll have to come in again, the way I read the rules, Jeremy. And it's starting to rain again, and this could be playing into the hands of Owen Trinkler, who has not yet made his pit stop. I reckon he's got 1 more lap, possibly 2. The wipers are on intermittent wipe on the 46 car, down at turn 1 at the moment. Owen, who has kept that car absolutely pristine through all the carnage that was going round, and there's not a vestige of grass in the front. Barely looks like it's been out in the water, actually. Really looks as though it's just rolled off the truck. And that is the leader of the championship leading the race at the moment, and they'll want to stay out as long as they can here, Jeremy.
Another couple or 3 laps, I would suggest, before we see that car onto pit lane. I don't think that's going to be quite enough to get to the end of the race from there, unless there is a full course caution, in which case it might well be. So,
Jeremy, if you're seeing another couple of 3 laps, we're on the hour mark now. I reckon if he can get to 55 minutes to go, by the time they've done their pit stop, that'll be 53 maybe minutes to go. It's a couple of minutes in the pit.
Yeah.
That's going to be very close.
That's what I'm saying.
Very
very close, yes.
And if there's a bit of a splash and a bit of rain and everybody's even off.
Yeah, and look, for that team, the 2 cars that will move ahead after the pit stops are the 2 we're watching on screen now. That's Jesse Lazar and Robin Liddell. They're not in a championship picture. So for Team TGM here, don't take any gambles. Just bring the car home. If they carry on as they are now, the worst they're going to do is 3rd position, and that would be perfect for them. That'll make up a lot of ground on all of the other championship contenders.
Yeah, who are well down the field at the moment. And we'll take a look at the championship standings in just a moment as far as the GS category is concerned. Penalty for pit lane speeding for the second of the Rumberg LLC Volkswagens. the 31 car, down in 7th position, and a couple of laps off the ultimate pace. But DJ Fitzpatrick, absolutely brilliant stuff in that TCR. He's still out there. He's still on the tyres that he started the race on.
Yeah.
He's well inside the opportunity to come in now, hand it over, and go to the end of the race. By at least a couple or 3 minutes, I reckon.
Yep.
As the battle between Jesse Lazar and Robin Liddell goes on, coming down through the final corner now and onto the front straight.
And apart from DJ Fitzpatrick in 4th position, a lap down to... Actually, it's not quite a lap down, is he, to the leaders?
Jeremy, just a moment. Robin Liddell having a look to the inside on the start-finish line. Got position early, but the McLaren slippery in a straight line. Now, Robin goes really late on the brakes. The nose of the Camaro diving towards the asphalt at turn 1, and he makes it, but can he hold on as the over and under is pulled by Jesse Lazar, and he goes back through into the lead at turn 2. Magnificent stuff. Battling for second, which could well net them the lead when Owen Trinkler comes in. He's just 37.5 seconds up the road. Sorry, Jeremy, go on. DJ Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, I'm just looking at lap times. It's certainly, there's some precipitation out there right now. As they look at the wipers are on, the lap times have fallen from the 57s, 1 minute 57s or so to 2 minutes 5 last time around. What call do you make here on tyres for Owen Trinkler when you come in? So they're probably losing 8 or 9 seconds a lap now on these slick tyres. In very, very treacherous conditions. What I was going to say, the only car apart from GJ Fitzpatrick yet to make a pit stop are the ST leaders, Nick Galante, and then the 3 minis. And all of those 4 cars are covered by about 4 or 5 seconds. A little bit of a gap between each of them, but not very much, only a second or so between each of them. 81, 52, 37, 73.
Robin Liddell has just pulled off the most audacious manoeuvre going up the hill to turn 8. Up the inside of Jesse Lazar. Jesse clearly wasn't expecting it, but he's dragging down the back straight. He's got position in the braking area at the top of 14 at the roller coaster, and Robin won't be able to hold him back. In fact, he's not even in the braking area. Robin goes to the left-hand side, tries to outbrake, and then has to swerve back to the right-hand side. Wow, this is tight racing. These guys will be loving this. 2 cars with 2 very determined and skillful, talented racing drivers behind them with absolutely diametrically opposite strengths and weaknesses in these cars. The McLaren quick in a straight line, but quite a heavy car, takes some time to accelerate. The Camaro really good on the brakes, particularly with Robin Liddell pushing the middle pedal, and relatively nimble through the corners, surprisingly.
And this rain now is certainly playing into the hands of the race-leading car, because we're now 55 minutes remaining in this race. The pace is slowing because of the rain, as we see the ST leader onto pit lane. Now this car number 81, having completed its 28th lap. But with the slower pace, that's going to help fuel consumption, and that is going to help Owen Trinkler perhaps make it to the end with just one stop. Whereas I'm pretty sure the 69 and the 71, they are going to need a splash and go before the end of the race.
Lazar back into second position then, with the Camaro right behind him. What outstanding excitement and entertainment here. We have got rain on the windscreen of the broadcast bus here, just to the right-hand side of the start of the S's. Now, Owen Trinkler now has got to start thinking about, if he's still got enough fuel left, he's got to come in within 10 minutes to give Huey's drive time. And I didn't think we'd be talking about that, Jeremy, in a race that's been full green.
Yeah, that's fine. You know, that window is fine. He'll be in, I would say, in the next lap or two for car number 46.
I thought he could do 30 laps. He's done 30 laps now. He might be good. If he can do a couple more, that'll be impressive. It also gives them a chance, Jeremy, to assess the weather conditions and the prevailing conditions out there. Oh, wheel spinning on the 32, the VW Golf. That, I think, will be a pit lane penalty, as they were changing the front wheels just as the front left wheel was coming off. It was spinning around, and that's a safety issue. Driver getting in, maybe just clipped the throttle, hadn't knocked it into neutral on that DSG, the double clutch box. Jeff Mosing still in the Tangerine 56 Mercedes, has been along pit lane, of course, for a set of tyres, but he did start the race, so he's only got a few minutes of drive time left. He came in on, actually, the end of lap 6, same lap as Owen Trinkler, but Owen didn't take the tyres. Jeff did. He's making those wet weather tyres last really well. And last time around did a 2:05. Mike Vess in the BMW number 72, 2:02 last time around. 1:58 for Robin Liddell, 1:58 for Jesse Lazar.
Yeah, the track's drying out again now after that little rain squall a couple of laps ago.
Well, it is in places, Jeremy. This is a nightmare,
challenge,
isn't it?
Such a challenge.
But this is what good drivers love.
Yes.
These intermediate conditions, and I don't mean that necessarily in rubber, but some bits wet, some bits dry. At this point, you cease to be a classic racing driver and you've started to become a rally driver, because you come to every corner and you don't know how much grip you're going to have since you were there 2 minutes before. And this is where the guys are living on their nerves and on their reflexes. Trinkler coming into the pits this time around, I think, pulls to the right-hand side. No, he's gone through. He's got his team car behind him, the number 4, riding shotgun at the moment. That car's dropped down the order and is showing no intent on going through. 32 confirmed with the penalty wheel rotation on the jack stands. So that's a big mistake there from the leader in TCR.
And a drive-through also for the sister car for a pit lane speed violation, 3 kilometers per hour over the limit. What a shame for those guys. That is so disappointing. Rob Ferriol has taken over in that number 32 car, has resumed in second position behind Tom Long in number 77, now taken over from Britt Casey Jr., who stopped several laps ago.
And Kenton Cook in third position is going to make up some time there then when Ferriol has to come to answer that penalty. It's Guy Cosmo in the number 4 car, the red, white and blue, second of the TGM cars, and he's just riding shotgun at the moment on the car that leads the championship, and his teammate Owen Trinkler, very much a team of 4 drivers. TGM, they work together as well. 1:59.0 last time around for Trinkler. Lazar a 57.2. Trinkler's on fuel save here. They're pushing this as long as they can so that they can make a more informed decision about how much what tyres to put on, and also, of course, to get Hugh Plumb to the end without any worries on fuel.
Yeah, he's going to be good to go from here on fuel, I think, when he makes this pit stop now, is Owen Trinkler. When he hands over to Hugh Plumb. I'm sure he'll be in
32
the next lap, or it's got to be the next lap or two, because he's done a lot more. He's done now compared to the. He came in on lap.
End of lap 6. He came in. End of lap 6 he came in.
All right.
And they've brim-filled it.
Correct.
Shea Adam, I reckon he's done 3 more laps than I thought. I reckon he's got to come in at the end of this one, Shea.
Maybe not the end of this one, but maybe the next one. There is some movement on the wall finally, but also with the Murillo Racing crew. I've been watching them because they've had Eric Foss standing on the wall with this helmet on for about the last 25 minutes, and they still have not brought Jeff Mosing in yet either. So the Scooby-Doo pit board is ready to come down on the 56. It just hasn't moved. Scrappy-Doo, excuse me. It's not Scooby, it's the little guy.
That car stopped on the same lap as Owen Trinkler. But Jeff Mosing's done a great job to keep the tyres underneath that car. Trinkler from Jesse Lazar by under half a minute now. But the gamble that they're playing now is not about winning the race, but keeping that car on the track as long as possible. This is the 46 car we're talking about, so that they can not have to make one more pit stop. They still could win this race, but at the moment they're thinking championship. And Trinkler's done exactly what has been asked of him. 2:03 last time around, but that doesn't matter. The 2 guys scrapping behind are not in for a shout at the championship. Where are their closest championship rivals, Jeremy, in GS? Owen Trinklers and
Kyle Marcelli is in 7th in GS.
Yes, 7th in GS, correct. Wow. Meantime, the battle for second rages on at Oak Tree. Let's give you a quick rundown before Trinkler comes into the pit lane. Nate Norenberg now leads ST in 19th position overall, from the Mini number 37, that most famous of Mini numbers. We have both of the Pombos out in the 52 and the 73, having just made their pit stop. They've done their first flying lap.
Yep. And number 37 car, Nate Norenberg, has not yet made his pit stop. He's the
he's still
remaining car.
well.
Yeah, he'll be in next time around, I'm sure. The other two minis have just been on pit lane. They made their stops.
Well, they're going to have to come in. They're starting to flirt now.
Correct.
With if the pits get closed, not being able to get drive time for your second driver. So next time around, there's 48 minutes to go. You've got to get 45 minutes for your second driver. Guy Cosmo, by the way, has been let through by Owen Trinkler because he's on fuel save mode, and he must surely come in at the end of this lap. Otherwise, they're going to be tight on the 45 minutes. Shea Adam, this is tight.
I would agree with that assessment, John. Based on the level of activity, the look of focus on the crew members' eyes, and the fact that they do have slick tires on the wall with Hugh Plum standing there ready to go. Same exact story for the 56. So both of the Mercedes that pitted together will be coming back in together. Excellent job by Owen Trinkler and Jeff Mosen.
And their teams, it has to be said, although they chose different strategies. And what did that cost that Jeff Mosing then? Well, he's in 6th position because he hasn't been able to keep the pace up with the wet weather tyres on, and it's cost him something like 90 seconds because he has now pitted, and in fact he's dropped off the lead lap, hasn't he, by pitting there. So waiting for the 46 car, which is now on the back straight. 2 minutes to go for the pit window. This is right on the money. And this has been a brilliant job of pace, control in absolutely awful conditions, pace again, aggression when needed, and then being able to save fuel. Owen Trinkler has done a whole season of tactics in 44 minutes. In an hour and 14 minutes of driving, and he hits the pit lane. That means that Jesse Lazar and Robin Liddell will go through into the battle for the lead, as Shea Adam has our championship leader making his first pit stop.
Owen Trinkler hits his marks perfectly, and immediately Hugh Plum jumps off the wall and runs around to open the driver's side door to let Owen know his job is done. The seat insert comes out, and Hugh Plum is installing himself into the race car that he brought into the race today, leading the championship. They are doing fuel and 4 Continental tires. They are brand new, slick material. It was sprinkling a moment ago on the pit lane, but that has stopped. We are also going to see Matt Plum getting into the 76 McLaren. That car is expected to do a pit stop here shortly as well. But for the 46, just waiting on fuel. The tire change is done. The car comes off the air jacks. Owen shuts the door and picks up his seat insert. Very aware after driving for an hour and 14 minutes. That had to use a lot of brain power to drive in those conditions. Gets a pat from Greg Jones from Mercedes as Hugh Plum takes the 46 out of the pit lane. Where are the leaders on track, John?
Oh, they've gone through. They have gone through. But that's not the issue at the moment, because that is the last pit stop for that car. That will go to the end from here. And as Hugh Plum exits, there were 45 minutes and 30 seconds on the clock, or thereabouts. You must do 45 minutes. That is cutting it fine, but that might just be a championship deciding moment, as the 28 car, who is another championship contender, is back from behind the wall and going out. In fact, out on the circuit now, trying to get some championship points and trying to keep the championship alive. Well, Jeremy, there's so many storylines here. Let's have a word with Owen Trinkler. 1 hour and 14 and a half minutes in the car in the most extraordinary opening to a race I've seen in a long time.
They didn't tell you anything, Owen, because they wanted you to concentrate on hitting your fuel numbers and just keeping it on the straight and narrow. Were you at least having fun out there driving in those perilous conditions?
It's a great time. Love VIR and love my guys here at TGM, and they put a great car underneath us. Yeah, there's a little crazy there at the beginning. I've seen that kind of go on at this track before, so I got some experience here. I got nose to nose with the 82 there. That kind of shuffled us back, and then we tried to make a call to put rain tires on, and then we jumped away from that, put fuel in it, And just
Who made that call?
Vardy did at the last minute. So, and then we were talking again after that pit stop that we might need to go back to range. I said, give me a couple more laps, and then the track just came to us. And I didn't know where we were until they said we got the lead. I don't know where we're going to end up out of this pit cycle, but car's really good, and Hugh's going to do a great job today.
P3 right now, buddy. You got 2 more positions to make up. Good luck.
Thank you so much.
The big thing there is where the championship rivals are, Jeremy, at this point for that car. And Kyle Marcelli.
And they're out of the picture.
Is 7th position, Kyle Marcelli at the moment. The 28 car, which was thereabouts, that's well out of the picture. They are going to be the best scoring car as it stands right now of the championship contenders. And that means extra points in the championship. And that's assuming, of course, they don't get any better than 3rd position. And Hugh Plum at the moment just needs to dial himself in. Very experienced driver, Hugh Plum. Lazar and Robin Liddell are battling away. Yeah. It's raining at Oak Tree now.
Again, is it?
Yeah, it's coming from the other direction this time. The wind's turned around, and the wipers are on intermittent down the back straight, on at Oak Tree and at the top of the S's. Yeah. Intermittent halfway down the back straight, then off as they come to the roller coaster.
Yeah, but these two are going to need to make a splash, take on a splash of fuel before the end of the race, and that is going to be the critical factor here. They've got about 48 seconds in hand over Hugh Plum, who's now good to go to the finish. So the question is, how much time do they lose? And
Jeremy?
Yes?
Did Paul Holt start the race? He did, didn't he? Yes, he did. He's been in the car too long.
Yes, he has.
Shea Adams, 76 car in the pit lane.
Just did their driver change, so that would be outside of the limit. One Plum brother inside, the other one over.
Right, that's quite a fundamental mistake. I'm sorry, I hadn't noticed that Paul was still in the car there. That's the 3rd time down the pit lane for the McLaren. They pitted on lap 7, the same. They pitted originally on lap, I think, 4 or 5 to get rain tyres, then pitted again, and Matt Plum's taken that car out. But that, I believe, when the drive time logs are looked at, that wasn't 45 minutes left on the clock for Matt Plum. My apologies, I should have spotted that one. I was too busy looking at the battle for the lead and making sure that the championship leader got in time, which they squeaked in by about 30 seconds, or should I say, Hugh Plum squeaked out by 30 seconds.
We thought number 76 car was coming in a couple of laps ago, which would have been about right. So that's really rather odd.
That's a bad mistake to make on a car that was looking pretty good early on. The TCR battle has Tom Long and Kenton Cook, 77 and 12. It's the one of the Compass 360 cars, the 77, and then the EU reports rather banged up at the right front. But Kenton Cook driving that very well at the moment and taking around about half a second a lap out of Tom Long. And he's got that gap down to just on 4 seconds. But Kuno Whitmer's the man of the moment in the 74. Now he's 18 seconds further back, but he's lapping under 2 minutes in a TCR car, which is very impressive indeed. A 59.8 last time around. Toby Grahovic is the fastest man on the track last time around with a 57.6 in the 26 BMW, down in 13th position off the lead lap. But still, just showing what times are available out there in these intermittent conditions. Jesse Lazar leads with Robin Liddell barely a second behind, but in between them at the moment, the classic BMW, number 72. That car's been off the road, and that's now got its 2nd driver in that.
Number 32 TCR car that ran so well. Rob Ferrier is the wheel of that car. That's just had an extra pit stop as well, and dropped a long, long way down the order.
In the battle of the Pombo brothers, it's M. Pombo that leads. Of course it is. It's the 73 car that leads the 52 by 0.2 of a second. Those two are driving round as if they were on a slot car set. Second driver in the BMW, the classic BMW, Jeremy, is trying to get a lap back on the leader here. The McLaren number 69 of Jesse Lazar, I reckon they've gone on to... no, they're still lapping too quick to be on fuel saving. They've got a push, haven't they?
Yeah, they have.
But the 72 car is quicker than the McLaren. Who's that in that car?
in which 72 cars, Jason Hart.
Jason Hart, yes.
Yeah, but he's actually 2 laps down to leader, just trying to get one of his laps back. We've only got 4 cars on the lead lap at the moment because the Trent Hinman is, I think, 1 lap down in the 5th position.
I agree with you. He's very close. Yes, he is.
Yeah, he is.
It's a lap back. Hugh Plum, 155.7. No worries about fuel there. Then that's the fastest lap of the race for that Mercedes-Benz.
Yeah, they're golden here. Absolutely, it's been a tremendous performance by Owen Trinkler, and Hugh Plum now doesn't need any heroics here, just to keep it on the island and bring it home.
46 seconds behind the leading cars. But that's not the important thing. He's got pretty much a whole lap on Kyle Marcelli, who's the next car in the championship hunt. So it's all about being safe, secure, and getting that 46 car home for Hugh Plum. At the front, Jesse Lazar and Robin Liddell. It's like a bare knuckle fight at the front of the field at the moment. Just about a second between them. And with Jason Hart right in there as well, a couple of laps off the lead, trying to get 1 lap back. That could be a little bit of a spoiler there for that lead battle. 38 minutes to go.
Yeah, I'm looking at the TCR leader, which is now Tom Long in the 10th position overall in car number 77. But Ken Cook is inching just a little bit closer in car number 12.
Yeah.
Not making big inroads, but he's certainly inching closer. The fastest of the TCR cars on the track last time around, and actually Kuno Whitmer, but he's a full 17 seconds behind the first 2, and he is in a 3rd position.
He's reeling them in at around about 8 tenths to a second a lap at the moment. Eric Voss having a good lap. Has just put the fastest Sector 1 time in, so despite the fact that there's a few spots of rain in the air, the track conditions are clearly very good indeed for these slick Continental tyres. And Jason Hart has got one of his laps back. He has picked his way through the battle for the lead. Now that means there's nothing now between Robin Liddell in second and Jesse Lazar in the lead as they go through the roller coaster, dropping down through that double pressure left-hander and down towards Hogpen, the final corner here. This is enthralling again. TCR battle just starting to come back together, as Jeremy said. The 2 minis now separated by almost a whole second in the Pombo family outing.
And after those pit stops, they came out quite a way ahead of number 81 BMW. They'd been leading, I think, pretty much all, if not all of the race, pretty much all the race up until its pit stop. It came in the BMW a couple of laps before the minis, so the minis were able to stay out there another couple of laps before making their stops. And number 73 and number 52, the Pombo brothers, are now running 1-2 in the class. There's number 52 car. That is currently running second in the ST Championship at the moment. No, 3rd in the championship at the moment, Mark Pombo, but he's only 3 points behind his brother in 2nd position. But both of those two, they're now 11 points behind the BMW, so you need that BMW to lose a bit more ground before the finish. But in the meantime, that battle for the lead just continues on. 40 laps completed overall by the overall leaders, and less than a second, just about half a second, just a couple of car lengths between the 2 leaders. Jesse Lazar continues to hold off Robin Liddell. Last lap time around 1 minute 58.1. That's a couple of seconds away from Trent Hinman, who's the fastest car on the track on that last lap. But actually, no, he wasn't. I lie, because Eric Voss in car number 56, who's a lap down, actually 2 laps down in the 15th position, just at the new fastest lap of the race last time around, at 1:55.162. But he's not in contention to get a top placing at all. So he's just driving for the heck of it at the moment. But he'll love the fact he's got the new fastest lap there. Just look at the lap record coming into this weekend. The lap record in GS was a 55.992, so that is a new lap record for Eric Foss, who won 55.162.
Just on 34 minutes to go. Just working on something here that I hope won't be required later on, but just on drive time and what counts as drive time and what doesn't. Fairly certain that Hugh Plum can't make his drive time from here because he was into the car too late.
Matt Plum,
excuse me. He was into the car, then the McLaren too late. A little bit worried about the car that's leading the championship because they were so close on Hugh Plum getting into the car. Shea Adam, I set her a bit of a task. The standing supplementary regulations 12.11.2 says when a car enters the pit lane during the race, the drive time stops. When the car crosses the designated pit-in scoring loop, drive time starts or restarts only when the driver exiting, when the car crosses the designated pit-out scoring loop. Drive time is not counted when the car is in the pit lane or paddock. The driver in the car when it enters the pits is credited for completing that lap, regardless of where the pit box is located on pit lane. Now, the reason I've asked Shea to clarify this is, should it rain and the 46 car have to come in for tyres, does that mean the pit lane time, by that would mean the pit lane time that they took to change tyres wouldn't count towards Mr. Plum's driving time?
In order for the 46 to be classified, because both drivers must meet the minimum drive time, the 46 cannot come down the pit lane anymore today.
Right.
The way that the drive time is laid out, and it's actually beautifully done on some of the computers on the IMSA timing stand, there are gaps from when the cars come into the pit lane because it's not counted towards anyone's drive time. So because it was so close that, say he needed to come down for 46 seconds and he only had 40 seconds available, that would put them outside of the window by 6 seconds, and then the car would be immediately disqualified.
Right, it wouldn't appear in the results. At least.
It would appear in the results. It would go to the tail end of the class.
Right, okay. Right, so that's what's going to happen to the McLaren.
Yeah, it's not actually disqualified, but it goes to the tail end of the class.
So,
which is the same as if it could, but it does get points. It does get last place points.
And Shea, can we just give credit to... first of all, I want to say thanks to Lee Driggers for bringing that up with me here on one of our chat board lines. But can we give credit to the guys who clarified that for you down in the pit lane?
Yeah, thanks always to Jeff Carter, to Jeff Mishrawi, to Ed Hall, and to Brandon Huddleston, who were sitting on the pit box and had a little discussion after I came over to ask them to confirm that that was indeed what we thought was true is true.
So they're between a rock and a hard place, having gone as far as they could. If it rains now and team's down, they have to stay out. They absolutely have to stay out. They can't come in for tyres.
Here's the battle for the minis, amongst the minis, the battle for the lead in ST. The number 73 car just a second or so ahead of the number 52, the red and black ahead of the yellow and black. Also, the battle is developing in TCR as well. Tom Long now has been caught by Kenton Cook.
He's done a good job in the last few laps, Kenton. Remember, that's a slightly ailing car with that right front damage from earlier on. Swap of positions for the Mini. It's the 52 car goes ahead. Pombo takes Pombo. These guys love their race. Going to miss the Mini team. The team led from the top. This Pericarpi has done a cracking job developing these cars over the last, 4 seasons, and a huge Mini Corral here coming in from early this morning. No sign of a TCR Mini yet. BMW steadfastly holding the TCR cards close to their chest, but with the new BMW 1 Series being on the same platform as the front-wheel drive Mini, and therefore the next one will be front-wheel drive, perhaps we'll see a front-wheel drive and therefore a TCR car from BMW. Wouldn't it be great to see a Mini Countryman TCR, or a Clubman, even better, the estate car?
Yeah, I agree.
That'll be long enough. That'd be great. So that's a pass and a drive away there. as Matt Pombo has gone through into the lead and pulled away.
There must be a problem there for the number 73, mustn't there? That's a very slow lap.
Yes, it was, 2:15. Oh dear, is this more late race problems? We're heading into the last quarter of the race now, and Jesse Lazar still with Robin Liddell in his wheel tracks as the 73 Mini is continuing, but
it's game on in TCR.
Yeah, Kenton Cook in the white and blue. Number 12 has caught Tom Long. They've just gone past the start-finish line and coming towards us now through turn 1 and up the hill. Kuno Whitmer, by the way, was nearly 20 seconds back. He's now down to 14 seconds back, but he's not gaining on them quite as quickly. Although he took 2 seconds out of Tom Long that lap, he only took about 7/10 out of Kenton Cook. And the wipers are on again. And that was the leading TCR car coming up to pass the leading ST car. 81 back out on the circuit.
Yeah, I think he's in third position, but he's dropped a long way back in that third position. Not quite sure why he would have fallen that far behind. But he's still got a pretty substantial championship lead, and if the number 73 car is ailing, then that is not good news for the championship aspirations for that crew of Matt Pombo and Mike Lamara. They came into the weekend 11 points behind Nick Galante and Devin Jones. If they can stay where they are, they'll pull back a couple of those points, but if they'd been in the lead, it'd been another 3. So that number 73 car last time around, 2 minutes 15. So clearly a problem. And if but they got nearly best part of half an hour to hang on. Don't think that's going to happen. Clearly a problem. It's a turbo, whatever it is on that number 73 car. It's certainly dropping back substantially from the number 52. Tom Long goes across the line there. No, that's not them, is it? They're less than 0.3 of a second between those two. 77 and a number 12 car, 10th position overall.
Gregory Leefuger and Joey Atterbury, in respectively the 19 BMW and the 59 Ford, turned their cars fastest laps of the race last time around. Jason Hart, who remember took 1 lap of the 2 he's down from the leaders back a little while ago, he's just turned his fastest lap. Eric Foss has now done the fastest 3rd sector of the race. I think he did the 1st sector earlier on, and he has got the fastest lap of the race some 7 or 8 laps ago, as the battle for TCR supremacy heads towards the roller coaster.
There we go.
And Kenton Cook with just a little bit
That's the battle there
of damage on that right front as they come out of Oak Tree and across the rise. It's dry on that part of the circuit. There's no splashes of rain, and Cook comes down the inside with a band-aid on the right front of that car.
But that means he's got to go around the outside into the roller coaster. Is he able to pull that off? Yes, he is.
He's learning about front-wheel drive very, very quickly, Kenton Cook.
Again, though, for Tom Long, again, big picture, championship.
Good point.
He comes into this round of the championship with a 2-point deficit to his teammates Kuno Whitmer and Rodrigo Salas. They are in the number 74 car, and that is Kuno Whitmer who's behind them.
Yeah.
He's about a dozen seconds behind, still in 3rd position. There's actually the Scott Maxwell Ford in between them on the road, but Kuno Whitmer is clearly the actually wasn't. Kenton Cook was actually quicker than both of them on that last lap, but Kuno had been catching those first 2.
Yeah, he'd been taking round about half to a second a lap out of them. And Kenton now in the lead, going through 3, 4 and 5. And now heading up the hill. Tom Long absolutely relaxed behind the steering wheel. He's keeping his hands at 3 and 9. Flicking the paddles, making a little adjustment, maybe talking to the pit lane, changing what's on the dashboards. Get a red flashing warning on the dashboard that keeps coming up, and I think he's got a bit bored with that now. and he keeps clearing it with his right thumb, but when he goes back to the dashboard, the red warning keeps flashing up. So maybe that's indicative of a little problem on the 77. Hugh Plum continues to impress, and he's got the lead, or the gap between himself and third, which was 47 seconds. He's pulled that down to 37 seconds, Jeremy, between himself and Robin Liddell, and therefore a second further up the road, Jesse Lazar. So he's been making progress in that number 46 car. No worries for fuel for him, of course.
That's right. But I don't think the number 69 and 71 can make it, and I don't also think that 37 seconds is quite enough for them to come onto the pit lane, take on that splash of fuel, and then rejoin. They're certainly pushing as hard as they can. They're lapping pretty consistently in the mid to low 57s at this stage in the race, with 23 minutes remaining.
How far is Chad McCumbee back as well? In fourth position.
Oh, long way. He's about similar margin between second and third, and fourth. Okay. Over half a minute.
So that puts him 70 seconds behind the leader, 73 seconds behind the leader. So he'll make up some positions, but it's not going to be close enough for him to get on the podium without issues. Pit stop here is round about, well, it depends how long you're stationary, but down through the pit lane, it's around about a minute to get in and out. Another fastest lap by Jason Hart for that BMW, at least, the 72 car in 11th position in GS. Jason's really had his head down the last few laps, another 155.5, and he's closing in on Kuno Whitmer's TCR car ahead of him. Kuno's struggling a bit there in that 74 car, all of a sudden dropped off the pace.
Trent Hinman also is in the pit lane in car number 7. He was running in the 5th position. He was a lap down to the leaders, but he's going to give that up and fall quite a long way back down the order.
Bit of a scrap on the track going by some of the TCR runners, the lead TCR runners, and that was the number 4 of number 4 Mercedes of Guy Cosmo, right in the mix there with the Mustang. Good pass by Kenton Cook to take the lead in TCR. Got position on the left-hand side of the track, going up into the braking area for the roller coaster, and basically just toughed it out on the left-hand side. Knew that there was, despite the fact that he went left, it goes left, right, left. So he got alongside in the first left, had to give up a bit of ground in the middle right, but knew the corner was coming back to him and was able to hold his line as Jesse Lazar is picking his way through traffic on the front straight. And Shea Adam has news from MIA McLaren, or would do if I faded you up. Sorry, Shea, go ahead.
That's okay. They will be pitting, and if they have time, they will change tires as well, but if they do not, they will do the left sides only, and if they don't have time for the left sides only, because Jesse does that good of a job with the fuel saving, then it will just be a splash and dash. But the 69 Motorsport in Action McLaren expected to come back down the pit lane within about the next 3 laps.
Yeah, and I don't think the Camaro is going to make it either. The McLaren came in 1 lap before the Chevrolet on the first round of pit stops. Lap 25 completed for the McLaren, 26 for the Camaro, and of course those two, they'd stayed out from the start. They're running into wet conditions. They saved just a little bit of fuel probably doing that. I would expect another 4 or 5 laps to see the 2 leaders on the pit lane.
Right, when I said it takes about a minute, it takes about a minute if you do work on the car. The drive through the pit lane time is 21 seconds, but you lose a bit more than that because the cars are going past at full speed. So
well, and you have to slow down for the pit lane and then speed up again.
So actual time spent in the pit lane is 21 seconds. So that's what we've got to think about.
Yeah. minutes, because as you
in
say,
the basic terms.
Plus the service time.
Under 20 minutes to go here, Jeremy.
Yeah, they're only going to need about 14 or 15 minutes worth of fuel, but that's still a third of a tank, so it's probably 10 or 12 seconds or more of fuel at least. Oops. That's number 8 car, Chad McCumbee. He's done a fabulous job running in the 4th position in car number 8. It's making its final stop.
But everybody behind him, I think, has to stop as well, other than Matt Plum.
Other than Matt Plum, he's good to go.
Tom Long in for a splash of fuel in the 77. That's a bit of a surprise, lasting on lap 27. But I would have thought that the TCR cars were good to the end from there. They were all in around the same time, 27 to 30. Kenton Cook was in on 27, so was there another problem for Tom Long, or was it just fuel? Oh, off for the TCR Audi. One of the TCR Audis. He's gone off at turn 1, but in the most bizarre way at turn 1. Off to driver's left and slid into the tyres. It's the number 11 car again. It's been a tough all day for the Audi. Mikey Taylor's in behind the wheel there. He's gone a long way off. He's moving in the car. Lost it under braking into turn 1. Maybe had a side-by-side contact. There's already damage on the right-hand side, and the door mirror cover is missing. Well, he's got reverse. That's good news. He's got drive. That's better news. And even if he can't get it back round, if there's right front damage, oh no, now he's into first, and he's going to try and grass track it back to the hard standing on the outside of turn 1. He lost that a long way beforehand, but the tyre barrier did its job, the RS Works supported car, and he's going to go all the way around the outside of turn 1, not going anywhere near the circuit as yet, and I think that's a smart move from Mikey Taylor. Got the damage on the right front right at the beginning of the race when it went off at turn 4.
I think you're just pulling the car to a safe location, don't you?
Possibly, Jeremy, but we're at local yellows for that. 16.5 minutes to go. Any movement in the pit lane? Robert Liddell Shea has just put his fastest second sector in. It looks like he's pushing on. He's dropped 3.5 seconds back from Lazar. What's going on in the pit lane with the 69 McLaren and the 71 Chevy Camaro?
69 McLaren has not yet come into the pit lane, but the 60 Ford Mustang from Core Motorsport is in.
Ooh, that championship contender.
Yep, third in the championship coming into the race this weekend. Should vault up ahead of 2 of the competitors because they've had bad races, the 82 and the 28. We just had a pit stop from the 75, so another one of the Compass Audis came in for more fuel, and they did a driver change back to Roy Block. But I checked with our TCR leader, the number 12 will not be coming down the pit lane again. That is the E-Euros parts car, and just waiting now because there are people up on the wall for that number 71 Camaro of Robin Liddell, but the pit board is not yet dangling down. We're going to see both of the lead cars on the pit lane here shortly, John.
And Mikey Taylor reversing that number 11 car out of the way. Yeah, really good job, Mikey. Originally from South Africa, got a good little business. He makes of awnings and promotional signs and whatever, like easy ups, that sort of stuff.
Pop-ups, yeah.
Pop-ups, yeah, all sorts of stuff like that. And talented driver. Good to see him back at the wheel of that car, driving with Don Istuk the last few races. Talented young man. A really personable young man as well, but unfortunately it's going to be the end of the day for that team. We're running in the top 6 in TCR.
Top 6 now is completed by the number 31 Volkswagen. It's one of the Rumberg cars. 1:59.779 for that car. Last time around is that car's fastest lap of the race, and all of a sudden, Jeremy, the track is coming back to drivers, and we're seeing a little bit of light colour on the timing and scoring screen. As into the pit lane come the 2 leaders together. They've both come down the pit lane with 15 minutes to go. You were spot on, Jeremy. You said 15 minutes of fuel, and now it's a race between the 2 pit crews. Shea Adam has his Continental Tire pit lane report.
Motorsports in Action McLaren hits its pit box first. They are doing fuel only for this car, so they determined they did not have enough time to be stationary on the pit lane to change any of the 4 tires. So all 4 Continentals staying on the car. For the number 71 Camaro, it is fuel only as well as a drinks bottle change for Robin Liddell. And let's face it, he's earned a bit of fresh water. The 67 is moving. There's a bit of tape on the right side of the car stuck to the right front wheel, and the McLaren goes back out. Oh, but the Camaro's moving too. It's going to be really close at the pit exit. They're almost side by side, and Liddell is actually side by side, gives way to the McLaren. Man, that doesn't get any closer than that.
And just flashing by as Cheer was getting excited, and these 2 cars rejoined to the right-hand side of the circuit. Hugh Plum has taken the lead for TGM and the 46 car. Absolutely brilliant. Hugh had been pushing really, really hard, and now with 13.5 minutes to go, he is the quarry being chased down by the McLaren and the Camaro. Mercedes, McLaren, Camaro, McLaren, Ford, BMW, and then the TCR leader, Kenton Cook, in the top 10 overall. The battle now between 2nd and 3rd, and can they make up that gap to Hugh Plum? Plum is all right on fuel, and he's got tyres that are actually younger than the guys behind him, because he got tyres with just 45 minutes to go. And
yeah, I don't think they've got the pace to catch him, but it's been a great run for both of these teams back in contention for the first time in a long, long time.
Hello to Carol Brink over in Monterey, California. Sound and Vision together this afternoon, asking when does the drive time start for the driver? When they plug in or when they leave the pit lane? When they trip the beam at the end of the pit lane, so the designated part of the pit lane where you can come off the speed limiter, that is where your drive time starts. And any time spent in the pit lane, even if the driver stays in the car, does not count towards your drive time. So that's unlike some other series where if you stay in, you get credited back that time. It's not the case here. Whatever you come in for, from the time that you come in to that pit, that stops, and it only restarts when you go out of the pit lane. So effectively that's dead time in the pit lane. You can't have that towards your drive time. Really good race off pit road by the Rebel Rock Racing team and by Motorsports in Action. Half a car's length, if that, between the 2 cars. And Robin Liddell has to drop back and have another close look at the back of the McLaren. I bet he knows every square inch of that by the end of this. He'll be able to tell you down to the last millimetre how that car is put together. Slight bit of drizzle in the air again, and we're getting rain on the windscreen of the battle bus with 11 minutes to go. Is there a sting in the tail? Is there a twist? Remember, Hugh Plum, even if it becomes torrential, if he wants to get scored in this race as the championship leader, he cannot come down the pit lane. They do not have enough drive time in the bank for Hugh even to come in for a set of tyres. So their die is cast, and Hugh has to survive out front, which is what he's doing at the moment. He's got 8.5 seconds on Lazar and Robin Liddell. We're pretty certain that his brother, Matt Plum, in 4th position in the other McLaren, the 76 Compass car, is short by probably a couple of minutes on his drive time. And so that car will not hold on to 4th position in GS. And everybody moves up one. Get that confirmed at the end of the race. 10 minutes to go. In TCR, Kenton Cook has got 18 seconds over Kuno Whitmer again now. Great drive by Kenton. Tom O'Gorman did his best to keep the car on the island early on. A little bit of damage there that was fixed by the E-Euro parts guys. Well, of course it was. They had lots of E-Euro parts to make sure that it went back together again. Kenton Cook then leading from Kuno Whitmer in the 74 car in second, which is one of the Compass Audis. 18.3 seconds. Tom Long, the 77 car, which made a surprising splash stopped for a splash of fuel, is still in third, ahead of Stephen Simpson in fourth in the red 54 car. In ST, got a Mini 1-2 there still, but it's the 52 and the 37. The yellow Mini with the black roof and the yellow stripes on it leads by a distance now, actually, to the 37. And the 77 car has dropped away, Jeremy, so that problem that we thought that car had has...
Oh, wait a minute.
I'm afraid
it's just changed. The screen's just changed. The 37 Mini just come past in second place.
Oh, okay.
There, where's the...
No, 52-37. Yes, that's what I said.
we thought BMW was up in the second.
BMW is now in fourth position behind the Porsche.
Oh, right. Okay.
Having pitted last on lap 40, its lap, end of lap 41.
Okay.
So that was 6 laps ago.
Okay, well that was an unscheduled stop.
Yeah. Problem for the Tangerine 65 Murillo racing car. That's had a fraught day as well, hasn't it? There's been a number of people that will be seeing that. Brett Mosing behind the wheel of that car, flat tyre, and trying to get that car back to the pits.
Yeah, Joey Atterbury in car number 59 was running in the 6th position. He's just relinquished that position with a pit stop to his teammate. That's Kyle Marcelli at the wheel of car number 6.
That has championship implications as well.
Yep, that'll move Marcelli up to 6th place now. He came into this weekend tied on points with the Bimmerwell BMW. He was 8 behind Plum and Trinkler, and he's going to lose another 10 points, Jeremy, if they stay as they are.
Yeah, he's just beside us by the 65 car, by the way. Brett Mosing is just beside us. He's got 3/4 of a lap, 2/3 of a lap to get around. He's got a very long way to go, and the rain outside of our window is actually getting worse. But by the time, now we're just at the bottom of the S's, by the time you get to Oak Tree, there's no rain again. It's extraordinary what the weather has been doing.
Yeah.
7 minutes to go.
You're right, 7 minutes to go, and the gap between first and second, it was 8.7 seconds last lap. It's 7.5 this lap, so he come back down by more than a second on that last lap. Jesse Lazar here, absolutely, he's got to throw caution to the wind. He's just got to go for it.
He wants to win.
Absolutely,
yeah.
That's his only chance.
But Hugh Plum's not going to fight that hard.
No, but he's got to catch him first of all, of course.
Hugh's not going to lay it on the line anywhere where it's wet on it. Right. He's going to be making sure that he keeps that 46 BMW from TGM. BMW, why do I keep saying that? Mercedes-Benz from BMW. My apologies, guys.
Yeah, looking, they won the race at Lime Rock. They were 3rd last time out at Road America. It's been a great streak for Team TGM. That team's first ever win, looking for their 2nd today.
Well, once you get the first win over, it says once you've got the first one, the second one is a bit easier.
That's
and
right.
Owen Trinkler is the past master of having a good second half of the season. And he started the second half of the season pretty well last year and pulled himself not quite into championship contention with Sarah Catania, if you remember, but they finished 2nd in the championship from being nowhere at the Le Mans break, and they've come back and done exactly the same this time with Hugh Plum in the car, and there's a lot to be said for momentum. Don't forget, he won here last year, so he's going for 2 wins in a row, albeit in different classes. He won ST here in the Nissan Altima. That was a big win for Nissan, being one of the VIR sponsors here, partners here. Mini number 52, still leading out, doing its thing, looking like a Mini.
5.6 seconds between first and second last time around. A really good lap from Jesse Lazar, with Robin Liddell remaining in his wheel tracks just a couple of car lengths back. They pulled in nearly 2 seconds on that last lap with just 5 minutes remaining. So it's going to be another probably 3 laps here. And
be right on him.
Yes, exactly.
On the last lap. We're going to have a grandstand finish again, aren't we?
Probably. This is an IMSA Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge race after all, so we can count on drama all the way to the checkered flag. What's the weather doing?
It's still raining here, but not as much.
No.
And it's not wet on the track, really. Shea Adam, dry in the pit lane?
Almost. Yeah,
Okay.
just a couple little spits every now and then.
Okay. Well, Hugh's about to come down to the hog pen now and complete his 55th lap and start his 56th as he comes out of the final corner now. Still got the wipers on, intermittent wipe across the start-finish line, but I think he's probably just leaving them on because he doesn't want to touch anything. Crosses the line now. Not taking any chances down into the first corner. The right-hander gets the car slowed down, hits his mark, turns in. There's nobody around him at the moment. ST leader. Oh, spin on the back straight. Oh, it's the BMW again. The classic BMW. That's not the first time we've seen that car off on the green stuff.
It's Jason Hart.
Jason Hart, who'd been doing a great job and setting fastest lap after fastest lap. Now he's come off out of the Oak Tree turn, Jeremy, and I think he just fell off the track on driver's left.
Let's see. Eric Foster had been closing right up on him. Yes, he made a mistake. Just ran too wide on the exit of Oak Tree. Did Jason Hart spun that car around right across? Oh, no, he just missed Eric Foster. So Eric Foster now will move up into the 10th position.
Yeah, and that basically he would have, you know, on a dry day he would have been fine there to run on the grass. Probably would have lost the position because he would have had to lift and get back on the track, but because the grass is so wet up there, the back end broke away and spat him across the track, not just spun him across the track. And Eric Foss having to check up for a moment there.
Really good lap last time round for Hugh Plum, down in the low 57s again, 57.4 last time around. So that steadied the lead over Jesse Lazar in second place. For some reason, Robin Liddell lost a couple of seconds on that last lap. Slow lap for him.
Good battle for TCR, 5th and 6th. Lee Carpentier. Cheer for Carpentier. Cheer for Carpentier, right.
Yep.
And Todd Rumberg in the 31 Volkswagen.
Tanner.
Tanner Rumberg.
That local team, great to see them having a good run today. The number 32 car is running right up front until he had the problems earlier on. They're running in 7th place right now with Rob Ferriol. But Tanner has taken over from his younger brother Luke.
Well, that was a pit stop infraction that cost them a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Spinning the front wheels.
Absolutely.
DJ did a great job in that car. It's going to be side by side into the first corner. Two cars, same platform, same engine, different looking cars, of course, with the Audi having the 4-door shell and the trunk, the boot behind it. The Golf GTI, very much a hatchback with the wing mounted on the rear window. Meantime, Hugh Plum has, well, I think he'll get the white flag next time round, won't he? And he steadied the ship there and has held that lead at 5.3 seconds.
Did he get the white flag this time?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think he was so. Just before. I wasn't
it's going to be just over the 2 hour mark that we give you. We always say there's always a little bit more than the 2 hours. And the Biscuitville Grand Prix has been won in all of the classes by a combination of skill, daring, courage, great strategy in all of the classes today to get the guys at the head of the field, and none more so than Team TGM, where Owen Trinkler did an hour and 14 minutes through every single condition that you could ever see on a track, and he was probably given every single piece of advice and instruction that a driver ever has. Right, take it easy. No, now drive fast. No, now save fuel. Now come in and change tyres. Don't change tyres. We're going to leave you out on slicks. Take it easy again. Fantastic stuff. And Hugh Plum has kept this car. The car is pristine, Jeremy. It's absolutely pristine. The white flag is out. 3.25 miles between the 46 team and their second win of the season. Their second win in 3 Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge races. A team that has had to battle all of the other cars in class and the elements, and thought on their feet, came in for wet weather tyres when it looked to be the right call. But in the 15 seconds between Owen Trinkler coming in and committing to the pit lane after he'd stayed out in the worst of the conditions and kept the car perfectly clean and on the track, The decision was made from the pit wall to leave him on the slick Continental tyres, and crucially to put another 6 laps of fuel in and top him back off. That gave him the opportunity to run well into the second half of the race and hand the car over at the last yawning moment to get Hugh Plum his full driving time and them classified at the head of the field. Brilliant stuff.
Brilliant stuff. Gregory Leofouge in car number 19. He's made up 2 positions on the last couple of laps. He's passed both number 59 Ford of Joey Atterbury and Alan Brynjolfsson in car number 7 last time around as well.
5.5 seconds at the line, and it's going to be enough, more than enough, and it's another win for Hugh Plum, who anchors home the 46 car started by Owen Trinkler. A full team effort and a car that looks like it's just rolled off the truck after the most extraordinary weather conditions. Brilliant racing, great tactics, executed to perfection. TGM win the Biscuitville Grand Prix for the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge at VIR and extend their championship lead, Jeremy. Let's go down to Shea Adam, where Owen Trinkler is celebrating with the team.
Oh, and got to give you a hug before things get started. 2 years in a row, 2 different classes. Man, a win at VIR overall. How good does this feel?
Oh, it's so awesome. I got to say hello to my boys. They're back home. My wife's here to enjoy this one, and my mom. And Joe Vardy, man, he called a great strategy today. And I was sort of indecisive on the rain tires. We talked earlier, but I said, hey, let me stick it out a little bit here and just see what happens. And Hugh did a great job. I mean, unbelievable. I mean, we're on such a high right now, and you got to enjoy these moments because racing's so tough, and I'm just so happy for the boys. John Terry, it's his birthday yesterday. He's one of the heart and soul of this team too. He's been here forever. It's just awesome. I can't believe this.
2 wins in the last 3 races, and I don't need to tell you where the podium is here. You know the way. Congrats, Owen.
Thank you so much. Tell John and Jeremy hello, and I'll see you guys soon.
Thank you very much, Owen. Great work, great work. Incident right at the end there between the number 7 Ford of Alan Brynjolfsson and the number 19 car, which was well
Gregory Leofouge.
Yes.
No. He'd been closing up rapidly. He'd just overtaken the 19 car of Leofouge.
You're right.
Just got past
so that's
59 of Atterbury.
It's been reviewed. No action.
Okay.
No action for that. The Mini has gone through and taken the checkered flag. That's the 52, the yellow Mini. And the Porsche number 21 comes through into second, but it's to just nip by the 37 Mini at the end. Maxwell Faulkner has claimed second position in ST. In TCR, Kenton Cook has now taken the checkered flag and wins for E-Euro parts. Tom O'Gorman started that race in the worst of the conditions. Shea Adam.
Well, Tom, it might not be the prettiest car in the world, but it's a winning car, so now it is the prettiest car in the world. Congratulations, your first TCR win in this series. How good does it feel?
It feels incredible. Yeah, it's not often you get to win after a penalty and going into the wall and running with a bunch of grass in your grill, but Ken's the most incredible teammate I could imagine, and he brought it home, so this is all for him. Really excited for this E-Euro Parts team, for Rova Oil who support us. First win for the team in Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge, so hopefully we've just broke the wall and now we can finish off the year with a couple more of those.
Kenton's figuring out this front-wheel drive thing really quickly. Have you been helping him with that?
Yeah, it's interesting track by track as the grip changes. One of our styles, you know, I like the low grip stuff. He likes the high grip stuff, and we just collaborate on driving style. And his style works in some corners, mine works in others. So it's been a really excellent experience for someone inexperienced like me, but with the experience in front-wheel drive, and then him with all the experience he has, but not necessarily front-wheel drive. It's just been a blast. So can't thank everybody enough.
Well, now it's a proven duo, a winning duo. Congrats, Tom.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, and as Shea rightly says, doesn't matter what the car looks like, when it's a winner, it's a great-looking car. And that is the first victory for the E-Euro Parts TCR team. Well done to Tom O'Gorman and Kenton Cook, surviving their early problems. And Kenton really monstering that car. Perhaps doesn't look quite as smooth as Kenton has looked in the past behind the wheel of cars, but he's making it work. It's effective. And I think that's what it's all about. Wins by a lap on the field, actually, by the way that it finished because of where the leader was. was a little bit close to that, but Kuno Whitmer never really got within 15 seconds at the end. Tom Long was another 24 seconds back, so 12:74.77.
That made an extra pit stop, that number 77 car.
Stop for fuel on lap 48, that car. Shea told us about that, we don't know why.
No.
That was an odd one. Shouldn't really have had to, should it? On that one.
No, so that's going to extend the lead for Salas and Whitmer by another 2 points. They'll be up to 4 points now over Britt Casey and Tom Long. A whole 4 points, yeah, with 2 races remaining.
The 37 Mini, we had both D. Joneses and both M. Pombos in the Minis. Minis and the BMWs at the end, which was not very confusing at all. The 37 car did drop back, lost out second place by just 0.3 of a second to a charging Porsche in the hands of Maxwell Faulkner in ST at the end, but they were 7 seconds behind the 52 car, the yellow Mini, which took the lead with about 40 minutes to go. And at the head of the field, Robin Liddell and Andrew Davis on the return for the Chevy Camaro in 3rd position, where were 2 seconds behind Jesse Lazar and Corey Lewis in the 69 MIA McLaren. But everyone had to give best to the 46 car. Tactics were great, driving was great, execution perfect, and it started to rain again now as we're just waiting for Hugh Plum to jump out of that dark grey machine. And just waiting for the TV to be ready so that the guys can get out of the car. We've already heard from Owen Trinkler. We'll get a quick word with Colin Mullen from Shea Adam with his Continental Tire Pit report.
Colin, congratulations on the race win. It wasn't the easiest start to the weekend for you guys when the hood came up over the windshield. It's got a couple dents on it, but it is a good little Mini.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. I mean, so proud of Mark for hanging on there the past half hour. We were just praying that the car stayed together. We had some mechanical issues that we might have been worried about. So Mark did a great job just nursing it home. But that was a crazy first stint with all the weather, the traffic. I think we were racing 3 TCRs and 2 GS cars all in a pack of the ST field at one point. So that was a fun race. Really, really excited to get the win.
And you definitely made the Mini corral happy up the hill too. So congratulations.
Yeah, thank you very much.
A quick look at the numbers from Jeremy Shaw. GS is an extension to the lead for the 46 car.
Yeah, big lead now, 18 points with just 2 races remaining for Hugh Plum and Owen Trinkler. Over in 2nd place, Nate Stacey and Carl Marcelli, who finished 6th today.
In TCR, an extension to the lead for Kuno Whitmer and the 74 team.
Yeah, and he and Rodrigo Salas, it was 2 points, it's now 4 over Britt Casey Jr. and Tom Long.
Now in ST, not a great day for the team that came in leading, the BMW finishing down the order.
Yeah, the 6th consecutive pole for the Bimmerworld BMW, but their lead now has been cut from 11 points now down to just 7 over Mark Pombo, the winner today. Winner for the 2nd time this season. Actually, the 3rd time for Mark, but the 2nd time for young Colin Mullen.
Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you, Shea. Excellent stuff from the Biscuitville Grand Prix for the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge on RS2. Stay tuned for a special feature on Mission Motorsport. More from VIR coming up live on RS2. Well, the celebrations will go on long into the night tonight for the guys at TGM. What a great race! 2nd race win in 3, and never off the podium in those 3 for Hugh Plum and Owen Trinkler. My thanks to our production team here at the circuit and back up in Charlotte. Also, our support crew back in London under our executive producer Tim Gray. Keith D'Alessandro was the man that made the magic happen up at Charlotte. Another brilliant race. The Biscuitville Grand Prix has delivered for the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge, live in sound and vision, IMSA Radio and IMSA TV together. There's no need to go anywhere else for the rest of the season. Still to play out. What twists, turns, and even Mother Nature sticking her oar in this weekend It all just adds to the drama that is the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge. From VIR, thanks for being with us. Join us for the rest of the season. Bye-bye.